minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Okay. That's great. I got more for you, Steve.
Sorry.
My God. Um, repulsiveness. Oh, Jesus. Um, material elements. Yeah, karma, material elements.
What the heck?
9, cemetery.
Without her.
All right, number 2, cemetery.
Can I use your brush?
Think we get like stuck in your hair.
My hair would eat it.
So how was your guys this week?
It's good. It's profound, interesting. Especially yesterday.
Uh-oh.
I had some realizations yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Throughout the week I've had realizations. I don't care for my family.
Oh, look at that, Stephen. Did you hear that?
I care about them.
Oh.
I don't like them.
Ah.
I love them. I love my brother. I like my brother. I don't have anything. My brother's 18, or he's about to turn 18 on the 19th. It's his birthday. This is kind of what brought everything up. So I love my brother. Very young, very, for like me being in my 30s to have a brother that young. And I don't have anything in common with anybody. My whole family uses cannabis.
Hmm.
And for a long time, I thought I had a lot in common with them, but it turned out all it was getting foggy and nothing else.
Hmm.
So I had those realizations that I don't have anything in common with my mom. I don't particularly, I love her to death, but I don't particularly, I love her to death, but
Come sit, Stephen.
I don't really have any real reason to spend time with anybody.
Hmm.
Do not like my aunt who's coming to town. So my aunt and my grandmother are coming to town, I think, for Christmas for this week from Virginia. I love my grandma. She's retired CIA. She's a whole different breed of person. And I really
Tell her I need to change my identity. I need new sets of fingerprints,
right.
retina.
Gotta burn them off.
I need new iris.
Yeah, I realized I really don't want to spend time with them at all, and I don't spend a lot of time with them, and I think that's okay. I'm doing my own thing. And
It's not okay. It's blood.
it is blood, but I should love everybody the same, right?
But. What's that but? Come closer so the camera can see you.
So I was struggling with that because my brother has a dinner tonight. His birthday's tomorrow, so because my aunt and my grandma are coming to town, I really don't like spending time with my grandma. I love spending time with my grandma. I don't like spending time with my aunt. It's always like an interrogation. We were talking, me and her, and she doesn't have a conversation. She just talks at you and asks questions. Like she doesn't know anything about your life. Like for me, it's always the same questions. It's always the same set of questions. there's no personality there, and it's not a fun conversation to have. So I was really dreading this whole thought of like, I don't want to go to this dinner. I really don't want to go to this dinner. And then I'm like, well, you know what? I'm in control of how I react, how I talk, what I say. I'm a different person than I used to be. You know, my spirituality is completely like blossomed. I don't use any substances. So there's a lot of things I had to kind of let go of, which I found like that was the realization. It was like I just let it go. And it wasn't like talking about letting it go. It just happened. It was like a feeling. So that happened, and I ended up finding peace yesterday in regards to that, which was really nice because now I feel like we're gonna go have dinner with them and honor my brother's birthday, his 18th birthday tomorrow, and I can enjoy spending time with the family without feeling like I am being interrogated or being. My aunt, she does this thing where she like makes fun of people. She's very rude with a smile. Like, oh, you got so fat.
With a smile.
It's like, okay, thanks. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like that with everything.
She's not happy with herself.
So, and so that was kind of my thing with that yesterday. I had a nice conversation with the woman at one of the spiritual stores. She really helped me out a lot as well, just strangely. So that helped too. And I don't know, it was just a really profound experience I had yesterday. I was dreading this thing all week. Like, I didn't want to respond to my mother. I didn't want to. She's like, "Are you coming to dinner? Family's in town. Are you coming? Coming?" I'm like, "I see your text. I don't know how to respond because I didn't want to go, but I did want to go because I wanted to celebrate my brother's birthday. But I didn't want to celebrate it with my family." So I figured out that happy medium, the middle way, if you will, to be able to enjoy spending time with my brother, to put my boundaries up, to know that I can walk away if I'd like. My aunt starts coming at me with all these kind of like bullets and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, it was nice seeing you. You guys have a lovely evening. Love you. Bye. I can pull. I'm in control. I can pull myself out of the situation. I don't have to put myself in a situation that I don't want to be in.
Hear this? Grab me my soil and water, quick.
So that was something that I had really been struggling with all week. That it was nice.
Struggle no more. Let me bring out my microphone and chant, and then we will proceed on. And things should get better. Oh, it's in here.
I like that.
I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm being extra right now. I just like to chant with the microphone. It just brings it out. It does it justice with the homage to the Buddha. But very good thing you brought that up, and we're going to talk about it here in a second. So. It's going to be loud. Okay, welcome everybody to the Sunday service. We're going to pay homage to the Buddha first. Over there. Just need to share. Show me how you bow again, Stephen.
Bow?
Yeah, show me.
Like that?
That's so lazy. You're 20 years old you are 20 years old with no scoliosis. The head hits the floor. Right. Try it again. That's right. Hands go. What the hell is that? How many times have you seen me bow? How many times have other assistants? What is fine? God, Jesus. Hands come back up to the chest, come back down. Buddhist monk is saying Jesus on a Sunday. Go ahead, go again. Goodness gracious. Okay, all right. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhammaya, Namo Sanghaya. Okay, come sit. Let me explain some things. See the four foundations of mindfulness there, first and foremost. We'll get into that in a little bit. But when we bow, there's the right way, and then there's your way, and your way just so happens to be wrong. Just like a lot of things, like driving and the posture of the seat. Here's your way. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about why we bow, to pay homage and respect to the Buddha. See, when I am doing that to the Buddha, I'm not only paying respect to the Buddha and homage to the Buddha, I'm also destroying my ego in those moments. I'm actually telling myself I don't know Jack. I may know Tom, but I don't know Jack in regards to the teachings of the Buddha. So therefore, we look up to the Buddha and his teachings for guidance. Literally, every time when I bow down, it's just I don't know anything anymore. Please guide me to nirvana, and all the way down. And every time when monks observe other monks bow, we want to see how devoted they actually really are. Because I've seen some monks half-ass it, and I'm just like, what in the gay hell is happening here? It makes me question why they're in the order, actually. I'm thinking they're probably CIA. You know what I mean? And when I travel with my teacher, and when we're traveling, and mind you, the Buddhist nun, Suko, we call her Suko. I'm traveling with them, and there's pictures with me traveling with them in lay clothes. And my teacher just, he makes his way. It's really quick. He's like a squirrel inside of a monastery, and then he will just dodge everybody and go straight to the Buddha, and would just boom, just just drop to the floor. And the way how he does it, and likewise, we monastics also look at how other monastics pay respect to us, just a mutual understanding. And I've had one of the most profound one was this Mahayanan monk, because some people, so the analogy of kissing. Everyone's had a boyfriend and a girlfriend, where of which they kiss, and some people kiss with their eyes open, and then there's songs about that, right? Why were they open? Whoever sang that. And so there's some monks that like bow to you, and it's like they're suspicious of you or something. Like, please don't pull out a silencer and shoot me. And then I had this one Mahayanan young monk that when he paid respect to me, he was just really into it. Like, I humbly respect you, or whatever the statement is. You can fill in the blank. It was just such a graceful thing when he did. It literally time just stops when he did it, because we're just observing him as that's happening. Again, when I went to pay my respect to Yuta Tammo, he lowered himself with me. And then the most recently, I don't know if you guys were with me or not, but when I paid respect to Venerable Bufu at the monastery, he also lowered himself with me. Yeah. And those are nibbanic moments. These are nibbanic moments. Likewise, that's what we you know, we in these moments are the only moments where you bring it in. And of course, I forgot my bell like I always do. But these are moments where you tap into nirvana, the mindfulness of the posture right there, mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the posture. And you know, even when you guys are taking pictures of me bowing to the Buddha for the sake of pictures and for the sake of teachings or something like that, I really don't want to get back up. Actually, when I when I'm prostrating all the way down, I just want to stay there and literally meditate and focus on my breathing, coming back up. These are moments of where we, you know what I mean? It's a very profound thing. Now, during the week, I caught Steve lacking. He was driving me, and when the light turns green, he just accelerate without touching the steering wheel. And I was like, "What's happening here? What's happening? Tell us."
I just drove without touching the steering wheel.
What's
So then
what's the anatomy behind that? It's a cause for everything.
I was in such a relaxed position where I'm not really mindful of my driving.
Relaxed position, also known as the art of not giving a shit. Right?
That should be a title of a book.
The art of not giving a shit. In his new book, Venerable Jidao. And it actually goes back to what we said last Sunday. Do you wipe your butt when you poop? After you poop, right? Do you?
Yeah.
I would hope so. Just the way how you drive says otherwise. If they don't give a crap about the steering wheel, what makes me think they give a crap about wiping after they poop?
Right.
So, so I sat there and I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" The kid denies depression. The kid denies anxiety, but that wasn't the case, was it?
That was the case.
That was not the case, was it? See, when their lips are moving, they're lying. Simply put, a person who is depressed has symptoms of depression would be a little relaxed. I don't know. It's just a lot to the symptoms of depression. I have to understand why they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about their safety and my safety and the steering column. So I sat there and helped them reflect. And I said, "Do you real?" And it was raining. It was wet, and there was a car on the left-hand side. Failed to put all these factors together. The fact that when you accelerate, you could hydroplane. The car could very quickly change direction and course. And as you're in this very relaxed state, as if you were under the influence of weed, you could easily just and then
Can I say something?
Yeah, go
to
ahead.
that?
yeah, go ahead.
So I used to use cannabis like medically, like all the time. I couldn't wake up and do anything without using. So was it? I think it was this week. I was driving home from work. I was on Ulmerton and 49th Street, right there at that light there, heading toward US 19. And I was just cruising, going about. I don't really speed. I mean, you'd be lucky to get me to go the speed limit. Like I'm, like I'm not. I'm very. I try to be very mindful when I drive, and I'm grateful for that, for this very instance. So I was cruising, and I just want to mention this because you driving about the steering wheel. It's very scary stuff. I've had a lot of close calls. I had another one, which is I'm referring to. This car had pulled out in front of me when I was going the speed limit. He must have not seen me. I don't know why you would pull out in front of a vehicle going down the road that close. And going up front, I had to slam on my brakes. I couldn't get to the other lane or anything. I slammed on my brakes to the point where my steering wheel started shaking and my wheels locked up. Skrrr, like that. And it was all completely fine. And I used to listen to the radio, and there's nothing wrong with listening to the radio when you drive. I listen to like podcasts, I listen to you on my way to work and stuff like that. So there's nothing wrong with that. At this point, I wasn't. And I'm grateful that I wasn't. I was grateful that I wasn't under the influence of any substances, even just like, cannabis, even just one little puff of anything. Because if I had been, there's a good chance I would have crashed into the back of that car going at about 45 miles an hour. There was a dog in the back. I could see the dog, and the dog was like, "Oh, what's going on?" I'm like, And it was interesting because in that moment, I was so conscious of everything that was going on. I didn't even have my adrenaline spike. You feel that, your hands start to shake, you feel that coldness in your body, your heart starts racing, your mind is there, but your body's doing something else. I didn't experience any of that. I was so grateful that I was in a moment, and I reflected in that very moment. And I mentioned this to you when I was talking on the phone. Had I been in any other situation at any other point in my life, a year ago or whatever, the last 15 years, that could have been the end of multiple lives.
Huh.
And I just wanted to say that because we don't think often when we drive. It's like autopilot. We just get in and we go.
Yeah.
We're not thinking about anything. You know, you don't have the hand on the steering wheel sometimes, or whatever the case is, you know, because the car does most of the work. It does most of the work, but we're the operators. And you know, you've been in many car accidents, so have I. I've been through the windshield. I have a dislocated collarbone for the rest of my life because of it. Please, for the sake of like your own safety, just be very, very careful because people care about you, and it's nobody realizes it, but you can drive it down the road on any given day of the week. Every single day I drive down the road going to and from work, there's an accident almost every single day on my way to and from work, almost every day.
Yeah.
And I've also seen dead people on the road a couple times. Like I saw one time this guy was contorted, like he was gone.
Yeah.
So driving is scary.
Go sit over there.
And I just wanted to address that because a lot of times we don't think about driving. And we're operating a 3,000 ton bullet, or a 3,000 pound bullet, you know? So I'm glad everything was okay and nothing crazy happened.
Yep.
All right.
Anyway,
So as we were sitting here talking, you noticed your posture when you were sitting here. How was it?
Slouch.
Not just that, both legs were up this way, like this. Mindfulness. And then, so anyways, so then I realized that this kid is too relaxed. And I realized that the posture of the seat, the position of the seat was back like this, kind of like a lowrider kind of deal. And I called him out on it. And she's like, oh, yeah. Right? Too relaxed. So when our posture is too relaxed, you know, your whole life changes after that. You want to change your life? You change your posture. My dad is a very wise man. He's said many times certain trademarks of people's postures give rise to how much they suffer in life. So again, when was the last time you seen your doctor kind of walk funny, right? Or your lawyer walk funny? They don't. They don't. They walk up straight like a leader. When have you seen a general walk like a, you know,
like Shaggy.
yeah, you don't ever see lawyer, you know, or police chiefs or lieutenants or sergeants, you know, like walk funny or, you know, I mean, unless they got injured on a job or something like that, but they walk like a leader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when we are meditators and we're sitting in here, just back always straight, always remind yourself back straight. You are alert, you are aware, you are conscious of exactly what's happening in the moment. Your mind is not jumping anywhere else. Okay. Now, Steve is under direct supervision, whereas, this thing is low. Direct supervision, whereas every small things I have to correct. Because if I don't, you will not amount to anything. You will not amount to a leader. You will not amount to anything. And what I observe, other trained people will observe, and how they conduct interviews and how they see you and how they judge you, they will judge. They will just judge. They will judge everything from the shoes to the hands to the sitting to the posture, the whole science. Everything from the shoes to the hands to the sitting to the posture, the whole science The first 4 minutes, they will judge you and make their impression on you. Period. So, very important as we move into mindfulness of uh, insight meditation, with the first one being mindfulness of the body, Kaya Nupassana, is that that's where it starts. People you don't ever see the Buddha or disciples or monks, meditating unless they're junior, like 6-year-old falling asleep at 6 in the morning trying to meditate. And so many people compliment me when I'm meditating through pictures and videos. They're like, "You have great posture," and I never even noticed it just because it's automatic. You know what I mean? Because I've been doing it for so long. But for this generation right here, you must be mindful of everything that you do, and you want to be a leader. If you have told yourself that, this is the cultivation of it. During the week, I asked you, "Do you feel productive?" What did you answer?
I answered like just a little bit, not as much as I should be feeling.
Okay.
Why?
Mm,
Because of quick results.
yeah.
Because you want quick results.
Mm,
The day you answer faster than I can is the day we realize you have reflected on these things. You see how I'm keeping tabs on you, but not just you, but everybody else, hundreds of people in my head.
mm,
Yeah, I know little tiny details about each person. I didn't know the answer before I asked, which is bad because you should know the answer to it like that when someone asks, right?
Mm-hmm.
If someone asks me about me, blip, like a lawyer, right? Like an objection when the lawyer objects.
mm,
Shouldn't have to think too hard about it. If you think too hard about it to answer, that means in the week, 80% of your life and thinking was bullshit. And the important stuff you do not give attention to, right? So therefore, when the monk asks insight about you, what? Right? But if 80 and 90% was about your performance, the way how you approach things logistically, intelligently, and wisely, you'd be on point. Uh, that's what spirituality is, what we're doing here. Now, mind you, you spoke to Mike, and Mike went after the money, but now he's into spirituality at 28. So the kid went after the money, but now the kid is now learning about himself because there was a missing component about that aspect of him. So what does that tell you, and what does that tell the rest of the world? Number one, Mike's very intelligent, but he went after the money, but it did not fulfill him. So therefore, now he's searching for spirituality and enlightenment because it's something missing. That's the only thing that is missing in his life. Job not missing, money not missing, girls not missing. Well, girl, not girls. I don't want to paint a picture that he's a gigolo. Okay, so there's nothing missing in his life. Clearly, you see. The only thing that's missing is what we're doing here. So think about that. So when you want a shortcut, which is, I don't feel that when I'm studying cognitive behavior therapy, that I could be making money in the process. And that is where kids are dead wrong. Dead wrong. Not just wrong, but deader than a doorknob wrong. It's because you go out and you work and you don't know how to deal with people. Look at how many times you quit. Look at how many times I quit and got fired myself, not knowing how to deal with people because of my thoughts, feelings, and actions.
Mm-hmm.
Led to explosions at work,
Mm-hmm.
led to miscommunication at work, right? So then you mess up your resume. A track record like that is not, it's not good. So therefore, once we identify flaws about us, we come back to this darn thing under the very watchful eye of a teacher that catches all the little details, right? And you being 20 needed this type of details, this type of attention to details to your life. because your mind jumps frequently at age 20 to 20, below 25, they're like 5-year-olds with attention span. So therefore, don't ever think that because you're just doing this and not working, that it is not helpful or not productive. This is the most productive thing that you can do. Mind you, last night I spoke to someone on a one-on-one that has a master's degree in psychology, another one, right? That failed to see some of the key components in psychology. So psychology is so broad that people just don't know which to study and what is most beneficial to study to straighten their minds, right? And again, you don't want to be 70 years old and now turning the pages of this book because I got plenty of them. You know what I mean? So you got to get that through your thick head and not think about the money and follow the money because that's not where it is, right? That's not where it is. So convince yourself of that. Okay. Any questions? Okay. The work that we're doing here, every time when I correct you, don't take it personal because I correct everybody. Any and all students within, you all see me how I corrected those kids from Colorado who shared notes, right? So that's what you got to like desire being corrected. Some of these young kids like you use language on Tinder and other apps. There's a come correct. You ever seen that before?
Yeah.
Come correct. Because they got girls trying them left to right. Huh? So the initial introductory is come correct. So I'm trying to teach everybody to come correct at the world and to yourself. Come correct to yourself. Come correct to the teacher, right? Come correct to everything that is at hand because you will be judged. Grab that door for me too. It's not cold. It's not hot in here, right? Feels good. Huh? Feels good here, right? Yeah.
Comfortable? Are you comfortable?
Yes.
I'm just getting over bronchitis, so I'm gonna put this hood on.
That's it.
Come, sit. Yeah. Looking for your notes?
No, pen.
Yeah.
I think I left this at the car. It's all good.
There's pens up there.
Mindfulness of pen.
It's funny you say that. I literally walk out the door and say, oh, I like to write with pencil. So I got to turn around and get my pencil.
Now remember, damn it, this thing's heavy. Remember last time I showed you all my book bag?
Mm-hmm.
Remember all of that? Steven, all of that, and you have a wonderful bag there with no pens in it. Look how many pens the Venerable's got after 21 years of studying. See that? The art of giving a shit. Sometimes I think they leave the house without underwear. You know? Right? If you're a student and you leave the house without a pen, you left the house with no underwear. Holy cow. So anyways, where was I at? Let's talk about the parenting thing and family for a second. This was key central to your life and Stephen's life, the students that's in this classroom. What did you learn so far? What have I taught you so far about how to deal with family, Stephen?
Like walk away whenever you start rambling around like the same stuff. and don't give them too much attention because you're in control.
Wow.
Keep going. I've taught you a lot of techniques. Keep going.
Mm. So, for example, yesterday I was on the phone with my dad. He just kept on rambling about the same thing. Almost sounds like a robot.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing. So you say the over and over and over every time we call. So just draw a line, just tell them, okay, like we've been talking about this every single time, so one time is enough, type of thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's for my dad, and then for my mom, really just walk away because she's always trying to nag at me. So it's probably just best to ignore.
Okay. That's good. That's interesting.
So, do you remember what Heath just said about his family?
Mm-hmm.
What did he say?
About like what he does, what you do.
About the ordeal with his family this week and his coming to realization. Were you paying attention?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Well, something about your aunt that she just likes to judge, right?
Yeah.
And then you said that you don't really relate to any of your family, right? So you feel like you're different.
When it comes to family, you have to do what you have to do to ensure your own peace. End of story. This week, I have decided to teach him how to be a judge. It's no different how I run my family. It's a good thing that I just so happens to be the prince of the family, just being in the hierarchical order. You all know that. I've told you all that. And thank God, there's a lot of unruly people in my family. They gossip. They do the same crap all white people do, all black people do, all Puerto Rican people do. They do all these things, these Asian family. So I've decided to put my foot down at a very young age, actually, very young age. And for the folks in Vietnam, I said, you know what? I don't. This is go. And Stephen, when you go to Vietnam with me, you're gonna see how big the platoon and brigade is of family. I was in Vietnam at the beach, and some kid came up to me and said, "Are you An B?" An B is my home name. No one knows Gobi. And I said, An B. I looked at this kid and I was like, I broke my neck, by the way, looking at this kid. Because only people in that's CIA level code name in the family. You have your government name, then you have your home name that your parents call you. They tend to call you all sorts of nicknames. And this kid goes, "Anh có phải là anh B không?" Or he said, "Are you anh B?" And I was like, "Who are you?" The kid says, "I'm your cousin." I was like, "What? You what?" Look, nothing like us. Earth, Mars, Pluto. So that's how big the extended family is. But so that's why there's a lot of drama, right? And I went over there and I basically set my foot down at like age 16 to ensure my own peace. And I gave a direct order. It was literally like a Supreme Court order. And I said, when I come to Vietnam, I don't want to hear any bad news. Any bad news to make it to my ear, I will never see you again for the rest and remaining balance of your natural living life. Do you understand? It silenced the whole platoon brigade, like down the line. And I tell you what, every year I come home after that, 13 times, silence. Love it.
Wow.
Silence. I don't share that. I've never shared that publicly with anybody just because they would like scratch their head and be like, well, we thought we were all about Zen. Yeah, I'm really Zenful, but there's times where, just like the Buddha, when he was stern, he not needed to be stern. When the Buddha cracked the whip, he cracked the whip on a monastery order, he had monks that didn't even keep all 10. They were violating all 10 precepts. I don't need to give examples of how they violated the precept, but they were just off the chain. And the Buddha cracked the whip. The Buddha was like, sit your ass down. And same thing with immediate blood. I'm not going to tolerate foolishness, and nor should you. So sometimes in your life, you have to be a judge. You have to be a general, a judge, and make decision. And you stand by those decisions, and you are confident that decision that you made. I don't regret a damn thing that I did to my family for my peace. I'd die the next 30 seconds happy, knowing that I made the right choice. So therefore, any and all students who are watching this, think really hard about how you're going to ensure your own peace and realize when you are wrong and that your punishment was deserved. And you need to realize when they are wrong. And how do we right a wrong and how do we resolve problems and quickly? Now, Stephen, you're 20 years old. I don't expect you to be like me because my brain is set up different than the rest of us at young age. But I want you to notice, why are we egging this on? Why are we egging this shit on? It's no different than watching two girls in the hallway of high school. And you're this, and you know, never ending. I'm a teacher. It's just like, are you gonna do something? Is something's gonna happen? Are you gonna pull her hair, or what's gonna happen? Like, you're gonna grab her titties? What? Do something. We're just hearing all this mess. And you got all this shit to say. I'm just keeping it real, right? So men don't do that. Men don't do that. Women too. I mean, the new leadership of women, the new study of women's studies, leadership in women is that we don't do none of that nonsense anymore. It's affirmative. That's why I'm training you all to see the true nature of reality. And this is why, Stephen, I asked you, what is the anatomy of the problem? It is no different. These are investigative skills, no different than police officers showing up to a domestic violence. You two are fighting, and they need to get to the bottom line. They got calls holding. They got people that they have to arrest and crimes to solve, and they're here for your nonsense, right? And they're going to separate both of you. They came, and you guys are at it, like cats and dogs and cats and cats and dogs and dogs. Mm-hmm. So they split. I'm going to ask you what happened. They're going to match it up, and they're going to look for elements of domestic violence. Who put hands on who first, and then they make the decision. Like, turn around, you're under arrest. No zero tolerance policy about putting hands on each other. Goodbye. That's it. Done. It should be done within 15-20 minutes. A call should not last that long. Okay. In life, the same darn way. When you're dragging it that long, that means you're loving entertainment. And that's not what we're all about. Mm-hmm. We're all about education over entertainment. Yeah. Right? So your job is to educate them. If parents, siblings, whatever, you replace it. If they are not the wise, then they are a fool in that moment. Not a lifetime fool, but they're just a fool. What they're saying to you is foolish. Okay? Foolish. So therefore, our job is to educate. And that's it. And then we move on. Don't sit there and entertain people. That's a commonality in families, is that emotions get involved, people don't see things as they are, and you have to know to draw the line. In Stephen's case, I've already dissected the anatomy of the problem, and I have found, number one, his report, and it is a one-sided report, a one-person report, not a two-sided story. I found it to be credible and real, and that you did not lie to me when you were presenting a problem, right? Is there anything that you have withheld from me when you're describing a problem? You have described the problem accurately, truthfully, and honestly, yes?
Yep.
Okay. You gotta see me as a judge. You would never lie to a judge. That would be
Contempt.
not contempt, perjury. Perjury in an official proceeding, felony. So therefore, I have seen the foolishness because when I'm asking questions designed to something, all right? So pay attention this way. Not the pen, not the hands. These are signs of ADHD. Pay attention. It is what it is. It can't be what it ain't. And you tell them that. And I taught you how to do that. This is the problem. This is how I dealt with it. You weren't there. Don't tell me how to deal with it. You deal with your own stuff. I deal with my own stuff. Have a good day. Actually, you can ask nicely, like, do you have any questions for me? Yes or no? You have to learn how to control the conversation. You have to control the conversation. That's it. Because people ramp on, because you have to see the true nature of their mind. You have to see what the hell is unfolding in their mind. You already know certain words they use, which direction they're getting here. The direction of guilt, the direction of blame. We're not having that. Topic. In Vietnamese, there's a word, lac de. LACDE. Lac de. Lac de means irrelevant. And how many times have we seen a lawyer, one of these days, you take your little happy behind, go in the courtroom and watch lawyers object. And watch how people try people in front of a judge on a civil trial, right? And they just, both sides are trying to win, they're trying to present the case, and then they say some crap that's irrelevant. And then the lawyer's like, objection, irrelevant. Objection to the form of question. Objection, 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 objection. You have to be that lawyer to object. Just because what their family, grandma, grandpa, I don't see that when I'm talking to them. I have ruled people, you cannot see them as that label. Our job in Buddhism is to label them as the wise or a fool. Yeah. And our job is to see inside of their mind. We don't hate them. We don't hate them. We can hate the way how they think, but we don't hate them. And sometimes maybe you should tell them that. It's like, I listen, I have nothing against you right now, but your mind is tripping, and I have a problem with your mind. I have a problem with the three poison in your mind that the Buddha said. The greed, the anger, and the delusion. And right now, mama, you are delusional, whether you believe it or not. And I'm going to set you straight. Right? Or dad or whoever. Delusional. Delusional means ignorance. Ignorance is the Four Noble Truths. They did not see suffering within themselves and other people. Okay? Try to keep your eyes on me. Don't let the eyes wander. ADHD. You got to crack it down. You got to crack the whip on ADHD. Look directly into the teacher's eyes. and you set the tone. That's it. No one's got time for that. There's no time for that. I've learned how to deal with ignorant people where explaining just doesn't do it. You have to use operant conditioning and you have to use classical conditioning. You don't reward bad behavior. And sometimes some people don't have the consciousness, capability, and intelligence to process what it is we are trying to tell them. So you have to exercise tough love to ensure your own peace. If you don't, your health will be at a cost. If you do not, then you have high blood pressure, you have all these mess in your life. Diabetes, just all of these neural inflammation, cellular inflammation that will cause you cancer. They are a psychological cancer that will cause actual physical cancer in you. Mm-hmm. Did you hear me? Okay. When they are toxic and we have identified that they are ignorant and toxic and not good for us, if they're not good for us and good to us, you got to take a break. You got to crack the whip and you have to take a break. They asked me, Venerable Chi Dao, Why do you look so young at 35? Right? At 16, he got married. I mean, he's 21. You 21 today, right? So therefore, no drama. I can focus on other stuff. I did. I cracked the whip, silence, so I could study for the next 21 years. Now I'm here teaching you all how to achieve your own peace. And I'm teaching the rest of the world to do the same thing. Me and Stephen went to Barnes & Noble for inspiration. I pick up some of these books. I turn to one chapter, and one of the chapters says, the new parenting is the toxic style of parenting. Because the parents know not what they do.
Yeah.
So they inflict indirect harm, direct harm, intentional harm, and unintentional harm. I should have bought the book, by the way. But I have so many books right now that's left open. I can't stack up more. I should have bought it. But yes, I'm telling you, in my own life, in my own friends, in my own circle of friends, direct observation, empirical, the toxicity within their mothers and in their dads. It's no wonder they all grew up messed up. Right?
Yeah.
And I was supposed to be one of them. I was like halfway messed up. Okay? I was, clearly. And you look at some of my behavior and actions back in the day with the police knocking on the door every night, the acting out is give rise and insight of an unhappy home. You know? And so therefore, what I'm teaching you all and take it very seriously, you know. But anyway, I don't want to like hammer down. I don't want Stephen to feel like I'm hammering him down on it. It's just you handle it great. Good. You stood your ground. Not a lot of kids can do that, especially with cultural conditioning, especially with the guilt. Oh, we are Latinos. You're supposed to listen to family. Family's everything. Felicia, sit your ass down. The Buddha said, parents are Buddhas, living Buddhas. And if they don't behave like one, then you tell them that. I don't give a shit about what Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, I don't give a damn about what Mexicans, Asian, Japanese, Chinese, whatever, what they say about. I'm telling you, the Buddha says that parents are Buddhas. You understand? Yeah, that's how we correct shit. That's how we correct it right there and then. Okay? And then you now ask them. That's what judges do. Judges ask directly, examine, because they're full of BS and they know they're full of BS, right? And so you have to, then it's, have you been behaving like a Buddha? Mom? Huh? Dad? Do you sound like a Buddha right now? Because you're not sounding anything like Venerable Chidao, nor the rest of the other line of Ajahns. If you don't sound like them, walk like them, and talk like them, I don't think you're a Buddha.
Yeah.
There's no evidence here to suggest that you are. CBT asks you to look for evidence, right? So when they claim something, I am a leader in the home, really? What is a leader? Go have at it. Excuse me, I don't know Jack. I know Tom, but I don't know Jack. So tell me about leadership. You directly examine them.
Yeah.
Right? If the Venerable here is claiming all sorts of things, if the Venerable himself claimed that he is a once returner, no returner, but then you have the right to ask and start gathering evidence if I am. So you handled it well. The reason why I'm saying this over and over again, is to download that in your head, to ingrain it, to solidify your leadership, to solidify you as a leader. You know what I'm saying? Is that, this is in the training to become generals. You all are training to be generals. That's what we need more of. We don't need more followers. We need more leaders. I'm training you to be the best the world has ever seen. So when you carry yourself outside of this classroom and you sit and you talk in front of a crowd, there's no PhD behind you, but they're like, oh shit, he's got a PhD somewhere. Last night I spoke to a gentleman who was in the military, and after one sentence, he says, "Well, you sound like a 2-star general right about now." I said, "Yeah." Without any stars present on my shoulder. And anyways, so again, you guys are the rare few that I'm training. And you must take this to heart and quickly, because the world is waiting for you to emerge. You all are the diamonds that is waiting to shine, the light of all lights in the world right now, in a very dark world right now. What I see in this classroom are just ding, ding, ding. Oh, my toy's up there, but like, yes,
I'm going to the restroom really quick.
yes, go ahead. Any questions so far from both of you?
No, I'm just. It's interesting. I think about this all the time. I talk to her about it. I always feel like speaking with a saint when I talk to you, and I always feel like you always give the right information for the I know you say you meet people where they are.
Mm.
That's so abundantly clear and prevalent, and it's not just with this, what you just went over, the realizations that I had, and how you're giving me extra little nuggets of gold to work with that and to keep in mind, to be mindful of. But you also bring stuff down. I take 5 different sources, 3 to 5 sources of material with homework that you give us, and then I'm reading and writing and reading and writing, and then you give me one little sentence, and I'm like, ding.
It is pointless to study this crap. I'm sorry, it's not crap, but y'all get what I'm saying. It's pointless to me sit here and then go to this while you guys are actively dealing with this stuff at home. I have to meet the student directly head on. Where there's pain, you take the needle out and you inject where the pain is.
Yeah.
You treat it right there, you deal with it right there in the spot, in the moment. And that's why I don't let things go unnoticed. When you're dealing with stuff on the phone, I have to jump in and I have to tell you what needs to be done. Failure to do so constitutes neglect. The Buddha gave us a very long prescription, when to jump in to help the student and not to be neglectful. And the timing of interjection is very important. It's like a doctor knowing that there's a cancer cell there and he's just going to ignore it until it gets bigger or until it shows up on an MRI. Yeah. No, you should not wait until it shows up on it. If you suspect, you should take a biopsy now. So he's going to be like, this is going to hurt a little bit, but we're going to deal with it now before it gets any worse. I am a spiritual doctor. And we're going to pinpoint the problem, whatever the problem is in life. This is how we learn things that unfold in your life that is shitty, or key opportunity for you to learn how to deal with it effectively. Yeah. You know what I mean? How to deal with this problem effectively to ensure your own peace. So that's what we're doing. That's why it needs to go in right away. And it needs to take precedence above all. I will suspend everything that we're doing to deal with, especially family. It's something that I am biased, but very passionate about also. Necessary to ensure, because we grow up, people really think because they're family, you have to listen to them. That you have to fall into this narrative and this. No. Hell to the no. You see the shirt that he's wearing, the hoodie that he's wearing, the same hoodie I'm wearing, except I haven't revealed this yet to the world for a reason. But we're headed there. We're headed to the arahuntship. And I guess when people are watching this, they're probably like, well, that's a little too far off. Don't you think, Venerable? Does it look like I'm too far off? Okay. Well, I must not be the right teacher for you. I'm going to go there. While the rest are not. Yeah. And that goes to my family. And this goes to all of you in Australia, the Huang's family in Australia, the Huang's family, and the Wynn's family, and the Trans family. And bye. If you ain't smart enough, to my own family, this is directed to my own family. If the light bulb hasn't dinged yet as to where you're going to die and how you're going to die and what kind of rebirth you're going to take, And if this one guy deviated from the rest of the norm to ensure his own lasting peace, you know? So I've already cut all of them loose. I've already cut every single one of them loose. I don't. It's not like I don't care. So I do care, but I'm not attached to them. I've already let them go.
Right.
So each and every single one of you, you must save yourself. No one can save you, and no one may, no one can. Right? That right there, the arahantship thing, is where we're headed. And blessed are those who come along, and blessed are those who aren't. Now, because I care so much about each and every single one of you, the only way that I can take you all with me is to teach you what I know, so that we are there. Now, the study of arahants is that I don't know how many arahants exist since the dawn. Well, let's just say from the Thai tradition, and according to, there's been like 30 or 40 arahants, for example, right? So if we achieve full enlightenment, all of us, where we go, there's only the elites, the billionaires. Matter of fact, actually, not even the trillionaires or the quadrillionaires. That's how rare we are. You wanted financial freedom. You aspire to be a billionaire. The arahantship is the quintillionaires of all quintillionaires, of spirituality, of wisdom, of everything that we aspire to be. And we will be that. Or if not, we'll get damn close to it. Period. Because look at all the foolishness we have to deal with. You see all the foolishness we have to deal with? And it is no wonder you are within close quarters with me. You see how quiet my phone is? So 4 phones quiet. And the only time that I speak long is when I'm doing a one-on-one counseling. And like I said to the world, I don't really talk much in my day. The only time I talk is when the cameras are rolling, or I'm talking to you now that you're an active current student, right? But the rest of the day, you see, I'm pretty quiet. That's peace. I'm enjoying my peace. I'm enjoying my baseline of peace. And the moment, even the, you know who, members of monastics call, it's like intrusive, intrusive, intrusive. But see, this Buddhist nun is very respectful. She's like, Venerable sir, I need some help. Like she knows that they know that they're disrupting my peace. They know. They just know. But you have to take your peace very seriously. Your health depends on it. The future of your stroke depends on it. The future of your pending heart attack depends on it. The future of your erectile dysfunction depends on it.
Health depends on our peace.
And if you don't think health is the greatest wealth, come with me for a few. Come with me to a urologist, Dr. Shaw Zhao. Come with me to see neurology, pulmonology. Yeah. You're going to take your peace real quickly, take your health very quickly. I can't afford to have a stroke. I can't afford none of those things. That's why I have to keep my baseline the way that it is. And research tells us so, simply put. Simply put. All right. So let's review CBT. Steve, I think in Steve's head, this week, Steve was like, Julia and Heath, what chapter are they on? I have to catch up the best I can. Did you not say that in your head?
Yep.
Huh?
What chapter are you on?
Me? I just got to chapter 11. Haven't got through it. I'm taking notes on it. So I'm on chapter 11.
Nice. How about you?
I'm on chapter 14.
Nice.
How
Steven.
about you?
I just got to chapter 11 last night.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you. The last two, chapter 10 and 9, were just kind of fast, talking about anxiety and depression.
So I found that it's going to be fast if it doesn't necessarily apply, because chapter 9 I spent a lot of time on.
Okay.
Chapter 11, or excuse me, chapter 10, for me, talking about addictions, being one that has plagued my own self with addiction throughout the last, 20 years or so, up until about a year ago. I didn't actually spend a lot of time on that, and the reason why is because I found that, which interestingly enough, I've been practicing all the methods of the CBT guidance through my way of getting sober, which I thought was really cool, actually. Like with the addiction and things like that, believing that we can't cope. So I just want to point out a couple of things, but in regards to chapter 10, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, to truly overcome addiction, you need to substitute your substance abuse for harmless, healthy activities.
Yes.
Right. So that was something that we started doing. I started doing. People start self-medicating underlying health problems such as anxiety, depression with drugs or alcohol. That's exactly what I started doing because I was suffering with depression, anxiety. I was labeled as bipolar for forever. And I found out that, with meditation, you're not. I think it's a real thing. I don't suffer from that anymore. Like, it was corrected through cognitive, practicing CBT unknowingly. So that was a thing. If you wanted to say something.
Oh no, go ahead. Keep going.
But yeah, like there's, it gets easier, and that's another thing. Like when you first start quitting anything, whether it be a food or alcohol or weed or whatever the case is, the longer it goes, the easier it gets. And these are all things that I found to be very, very true.
Yeah, those are true.
And then you don't think about it anymore, and this is exactly what it was. It was that portion, cruising through your cravings, know your triggers, advertising, environment, people, negative feelings. If you're addicted to alcohol, why would you go hang out at a bar and order a water? Do something else. Take your mind off of it with another task. For me, it would be reading a book or playing a game, like playing like Pokemon card game and stuff, or whatever. Be grateful. Focus on the positives in life from quitting. For me, it was clarity, peace, and happiness. And then deal with it. You're straight up, you're a grown ass man. Take the pain of the clinging and abstain from it. Like, grow up. Do it. Just do it. Like Nike,
Yeah.
just do it.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting because for me, that was something that I was suffering from for a long time, and it grew gradually over time to become a major issue. And I found it was very interesting because as I moved through these things, reading over it, I was like, wow, I've been practicing these things for a long time. Everything that it mentioned to me, and I know it can go very deep with other people, but for me, it was like, I just did it, I guess. It doesn't bother me anymore. I don't think about things like I want to smoke a joint or I want to have a beer. I really don't. Every now and then I'm like, oh, I miss the taste of a beer. And then I drink a tea. I drink hot tea. We were at a restaurant the other night and I was just looking at the alcohol menu, the beer menu.
Yep.
And we were at a Thai restaurant and I had hot tea and she had a Thai tea. And I was just reading it and she was like looking at things you can't have. And I was like, yeah. I was like testing myself in a way, kind of, because I didn't want it. I didn't want to drink at all. And it felt very nice. It felt very empowering to feel that overcoming that. However, like with chapter 9, anxiety, that's something that I have suffered from for a long time, which is what led me to do other things, right? So like for that, very easy, things like avoid extreme thinking, telling yourself that things are awful, horrible, terrible, amps up the anxiety. It's like use words like unfortunate, inconvenient, or unpleasant, But remind yourself that it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Anxiety is hard to bear, but it's not unbearable. General anxiety, I guess, is kind of what I've been having the biggest, not currently, but have suffered the biggest. Like, I just don't want to go do stuff, or like I get to work and I'm like, I don't want to have this next phone call. Like, I don't want to do it. It's like, just do it. It's like, just freaking do it.
Yeah, and that goes along with the exercise of the exposure. Like,
Right,
do it
exactly.
over and over again, then you get used to it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like, why? Sometimes I would catch myself. I'm like, why am I like anxious about work? I've been doing this for 4 years. I had these conversations for 4 years with people. Very easy. It's the same conversations over and over and over and over again. I do this. I know this. And my anxiety is performance-based. You know, I have a performance-based job, so I need to make sure that I have a certain closing percentage and I have certain numbers that I meet. It's very performance-based. So I found that my anxiety is through fear of losing my job. When I let go of the fear, I don't care if I lose my job or not. I do my job, and guess what? I have the highest performance. And I'm certainly not bragging. I definitely do not have the highest closing. Like, I don't have the highest like numbers in my department, but I have the highest closing percentage. So I'm one of the leaders in that way. And it's funny when you let things go, how things fall into place.
Oh yeah, that's what they said in the book.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about, for example, don't worry about the money and it'll come to you eventually.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened. You said, kind of like sidestepping that one a little bit, but you said nobody goes broke from donating. It's funny.
No one's ever gone broke from giving.
From giving, yeah. And the more I give, the more I receive, without the intent of receiving anything. I've noticed that's been a trend since we met back in August. That the more I try to just give, like this is a good example. Like, somebody needed a quarter at work, or a vending machine. So I had a quarter in my pocket. It's just a quarter. Like, what am I gonna do with it? It's a quarter. Who cares? It's $1 or whatever. It was like, said to somebody else, you have a quarter. I was like, just pulling him a quarter. He gave me a quarter back. Apparently his quarter wasn't going through the machine. Turned out to be a silver quarter for $50.
Oh.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, cool. Didn't know that until after the fact. And I'm like, all right, cool. There you go.
Don't give that quarter to Steve.
I like coins.
See, look at his smile. Look at that smile. See, that's the my precious.
I love coins. I've always been a fan of coins. That's a top secret at the time.
My precious.
But it truly is interesting how these things, you know, everything just. That's why I said what I said earlier. It's like everything that you say is just so like, wow, and it's so true.
You all understand that I have the capacity to run this country overnight, right? If they swear me in as president of the United States or a governor, I can fix this country very quickly within a matter of a month.
Yeah.
With healthcare, with our economy, because that politics crap that's going on ain't gonna happen. So, anyways.
Yeah, like this one, the fear. It says what? Beat fear with fear, I think is how it worded it in the book. Face everything and recover. No, defeat fear with fear is what it said. But repeatedly confronting your fears is going to make the fear go away.
Yep, I did read that.
It's amazing. And it's very true. I used to have anxiety attacks, like real panic attacks, like on the floor, like crying and like freaking out, hyperventilating, feeling like I'm having a heart attack, like legit like panic attacks that you see like in a movie. I don't have that anymore. I haven't had it for a long time. And again, it goes back to like some of the stuff that's in the book I've been practicing without knowing that it's been in the book, because I've looked at it from other sources. However, this is like re-solidifying that, bringing it back to the forefront of my mind, the practices. And I really like this one here, the little table that they had, the graded hierarchy of anxiety. You write down your fear, or the avoided trigger. You write down on a scale of 0 to 10 your anticipated anxiety of the situation. Just do it, and then the actual discomfort on a scale of 0 to 10 scale. And you'll find that, and I haven't done it yet because I really haven't had that kind of need to do it yet. But from what I already know that the anticipated anxiety is going to be rated higher than the actual discomfort that you experience. Probably like 9 times out of 10.
Yep.
So there's that, overriding common anxieties. And I like this too, and this is where it all comes together. You know, you talked about how the first couple chapters are like boring and starting to get more fun and stuff. Well, this is like proof that we were talking about when we were talking about that it all works together. It's a beginning, a middle, and an end to everything, right? So it's like, number one, define what you're doing to keep, and reverse anxiety, overriding common anxieties. Define what you're doing to keep anxiety alive and thinking behaviors. It's covered in chapters 6 and 7. Catch your unhelpful thoughts and generate alternatives. That's in chapter 3. Test them out in reality. Well, that's chapter 4. Then understand where you focus your attention and retrain your attention. And that's chapter 5. So they give you the tools, just like the Venerable is doing with us, giving us the tools and then giving us to know what the tools are so we know how to use them, which I think is just really cool. Overcoming worry is the art of allowing thoughts to enter the mind without trying to sort them out or push them away. Observe your thoughts, like in meditation. We observe our thoughts. Let them pass, they come and they go. They arise and they fall. So that's that.
That's really good.
I think it's really cool. I love this stuff.
Anything to add, Miss Julia? You got the same chapters as he?
I already did that one last week, but
Anything to add? Its meaning, what it meant to you, how you applied it, what do you think is beneficial for the rest of the class here?
so for me, I battled with addiction since a young age, and I didn't know how to stop for a long time. I've had addictions with multiple different substances. Like I would get my hands on whatever it was. And when I met Heath, I was on opiates, and Heath actually helped me quit. It was really hard. It was taxing on the mind. So after that happened, I got myself a prescription of Adderall because I just wanted another vice, and I was using weed and stuff. And I couldn't figure out how to stop and stuff, like at all, because I was running away from everything that was inside and trying to find happiness through those drugs, and it never brought that. Actually amplified things. So that chapter, looking over it, reminded me of everything that's happened in the past, and how I've overcome that and everything. I think it's really important that people read CBT, you know, but it's really empowering to hear like what you said and stuff, how it's helped you, and yeah.
You called me. You know, we have people in our lives that are a family thing, right? We should have people in our lives that are conducive to our peace, our growth, our happiness, and not the other way around. You know, you mentioned like domestic violence and stuff. How many people feel like they're trapped in a situation because they're so afraid of being alone that they're going to be with somebody that's making them miserable all the time? All the time. They're miserable. They're making other people miserable. That's how murders happen. So, you know, if we're spending time with one another, whether it be anybody, you know, you guys or any person in our life, it should be conducive to our overall well-being. And
By the way, as we children, sons and daughters, step back from our own family, step back from our own family, and we see the ignorance, the continuous, perpetual ignorance, perpetual meaning this continuous, this never stops, right? Never stop BS with them. The best way to help them change is by your own change.
Yeah.
And then we'll see that shift, and hopefully some light at the end of the tunnel turns on. If it does not, that's okay too. They have their own karma. And however, if they were still stuck with their ignorance, they do so willfully, knowingly, and intentionally. Simply put, you know, you can't run after them all the time and try to change them. You can't change someone who does not want to be changed.
yeah,
And even though we are programmed as sons and daughters to do so, to go back and try to rationalize and reason. And somewhere down the line, you just have to use everything you know about them and realize that, are they or are they not? And certain families, certain members of my own family, I have already ruled out they will never become enlightened for multiple lifetimes to come. With the amount of ego that they have, just turning a blind eye and still hanging on, still attaching to the sense of the me, mine, I. I am right. I am always right. That's what they tell themselves. You know what I mean? My way or the highway. Why should I listen to anybody else? I have a certain degree. All these I's. So, and again, we need not to attach onto other people. We need to come back to us.
Yeah.
You know, we will be wasting precious time. Um, what chapter stood out for you recently?
Okay, so for me, chapter 8 really stood out. Setting your sight on goals. I paused a couple things that I thought were really important. Setting goals too rigidly can lead you to become depressed or angry with lack of progress. So I was just telling them sometimes people just like set themselves goals, and when they don't, I guess, meet them, they become sad, and you shouldn't, because everything takes time. And whenever you deal with hardship in life, like for example, if my parents are giving me a hard time, then I need to choose the right emotions and not lash out. Like for example, getting, what's an unhealthy emotion? Like getting angry. I believe that's an unhealthy emotion. You could be disappointed instead, because that's a healthy one. And I like this one. It's called SPORT. For your goals. Be specific, positive, observative, realistic, and time.
Yeah.
So I really like that. An exercise here is I'm trying to find it. The cost and benefits of your the cost benefit analysis form. So then the cost is disadvantages and the benefits disadvantages. So then I haven't done it yet, but I was planning on doing it.
pros and cons.
Yep.
Why should I do this? What am I going to benefit from if I? Just going to say something. What am I going to benefit from if I go out to the club? Okay, I'm going to have fun with friends. That'll be good. I'm going to put myself in a situation. So those are good things. Whatever it might. I don't want to go do anything like that. I'm just saying. Like put that on the list. It's like, well, what are the negatives for me? A lot of negatives. You know, I'm exposing myself to dangerous situations. I'm putting myself around a lot of people that are under the influence of substances. Exposing myself to substances. So I'm like, okay, let's not go to a club. You know what I mean? So yeah, pros and cons lists are very cool.
This is one that I also thought was really important. Accept temporary discomfort in order to bring long-term benefits.
Yeah.
So I really like that one.
Yeah.
Because most people don't really know that. They just think that just because they get a little discomfort in their life, and they should quit.
Yeah.
Right there and there, right then and there.
Awesome.
Have you all been keeping your journals? Besides the notes, have you been keeping a journal day-to-day basis?
I haven't been keeping a detailed journal.
Mm-hmm.
I have one.
Mm.
I haven't wrote in it every day.
Mm.
I know you do though.
Yeah.
She's always journaling.
Mm-hmm. How's that working out for you?
Really good. It helps me see clearly into why I'm like upset or angry, or just jotting stuff down that's in my head and seeing what's the mechanics of everything that's going on. It's just nice.
Hear that? The amount of handwritten journals that I have taken in my life has been scanned onto a computer, and there are only this much left in hard copy. But I I will most likely publish them to inspire the younger generations as to how I grew up a very angry, silent, introvert young man. And the only conversation I had was with myself in my journals, in my darkest days as a 10-year-old. 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I think it stopped around like 23 years old. No, 24 years old. So my journaling only stopped 10 years ago. Uh, However, Steve, you have to write about what happened. I want you to write about what has been going on in that family, how you feel after moving out, how you've been dealing with problems, ingestion, how you've been dealing with problems. When you sleep at night, how is it? When you wake up, how is it? When you go to the gym, how is it? Because having a conversation with yourself by and do writing helps you see things clearly, just like Julia says. If you don't do the journaling, then it constitutes laziness during this time of self exploration. It constitutes neglect on the spiritual path. You must know yourself best. That's the grand question, is do you know yourself best? And I have some of these journal prompts at home that helps you identify you and helps you, like what kind of movies do you like to watch? What kind of this is that, and that. What if your parents die tomorrow? What will be your state of mind? Okay, so if I turn any page in those journals and ask you, you are to answer within a matter of 1 second without thinking about it. That's how well you must know yourself if you want peace. People do the foolish things in life because they don't know themselves. Let me tell you how all of this gets connected. So I kept a journal since I was God knows when, like 9 years old, 10 years old, started keeping a journal. Then later in my life, I learned a bit more about I was okay, accepting myself, a little bit more confident, a little bit more self-esteem growing up in high school. Then somewhere down the line, I was made, supervisory position, in a position and in a job and occupation that requires me to do report writing. And the reason why I want you to reflect on what happened in the arguments is the same thing as the report writing. Because if you want to be successful, CEO or not, either you work for somebody or not, whatever the case may be, um, always technological fails. Never ending, right? A COO, CFO, whatever the case may be, need to be able to type up a letter. If you want to be successful, you're going to be in leadership. In leadership, you have to write memos to people, what you want done, how you want things done, right? You can't do that if you don't start with journaling with yourself. How are you supposed to put yourself in their shoes for directions when you haven't directed yourself? See how that works?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I scratch my head as the future of leadership, is because I think robots going to be your leaders and not human as leaders. Robots over humans.
Yeah.
Now, so I kept a journal so that I could keep my mind straight. And then when I was in the position that I was in, I had to do report writing. And then along the way, in my 19 years old to 25 years old, a lot of things happened in my career in the protection industry and agency, where I had to write a lot, and I'm like, oh my God, we need more uniforms, we need fundings, and our equipment's falling apart, we need radios, Then as I advanced in my career, it hits the fan, where guns came out and there's lives at risk, and I was like, oh my God. Oh God, now I gotta write a report about this, and it became a habit, but it was very detailed. It didn't happen if you didn't write it down. If you neglect to keep a journal, you could never measure your progress years down the road. And now I can measure my own progress since I was 10, how much I've grown, and to inspire 10-year-olds. Literally, if I publish my journal, 10-year-olds would be reading them and realize, wow.
You know, I do or have looked back at certain points on things that I've written down, like in regards to journaling, and I'm like, wow. Like, it's kind of funny to me. It's like, I don't know if you've ever felt this way. I like read something that I wrote, like whatever it was, a year ago or whatever, like, and I'm like, how petty was that? But it was how I felt at the time.
Right. It captures state of mind at that time, at that age, at that stage. And so I also took notes just like you guys, and I'll bring it next time to share. I mean, so much. Literally, it's like an exhibit. Literally an exhibit. You can turn any page and it's gold. It's platinum. More than that silver quarter. And literally, you just flip and you just roll out like, oh my God, he has a date. The Venerable has a date when he wrote it. He has a title. He has the author. He wrote down, and this is what it meant to him at that time in his life. You can literally put it in chronological order. My state of mind, where I was. That's impressive. So, I mean, I'm to leave a legacy like that is like, whoa, you know? So, Chief Justice Brent Kavanaugh is the Chief Supreme Court Justice. Before he was nominated, a woman says, yeah, he raped me or he touched me or whatever. And the chief was like, yeah, okay, dude. The gal was a professor of law. Forgot her name, but I don't know. She tried to pull a Monica Lewinsky on Brent Kavanaugh, and Brent Kavanaugh says, did you know? Congestion. Did you know that I've been keeping a journal since I was like 15? I've kept every single one of them till this very day. And he gave it to Congress. Congress had a field day looking all through them. And they had a specific day of the allegations, and he says, this is exactly where I was. He dated each page and everything like that. An organized life. So if you want to be great, you either be great or you're not. You either work at McDonald's or you're going to be the next CEO or whatever. Someone's going to try you. They always do. They've tried me. They try me all day, every day. And so they're going to try you. If they try a Buddhist monk, they're going to try you for sure. And how organized are you going to be? Because everything we do here is to keep track of your life, be organized, looking back, and creating a legacy for your children to read, and our children, even if not your children, the next generation to read and learn from. Like I'm telling you, they can't even spell because they have autocorrect now. Where the hell are we headed? So therefore, you must be the light in a dark, uneducated world. And these are the legacies you left behind. The one thing I got a kick out of your journals, because look, you guys were very particular about your journals, your favorite journals, not just one of those composition ones. So these literally become a masterpiece of your life, captures a moment right now where you are. And a year from now, you're gonna look back and be like, whoa, how much I've grown. Whoa, how much I've grown. And you get to great height and everyone else notices it. Because texting all day or being Discord all day does not leave a legacy, does not contribute to humanity. It contributes to stupidity. The gaming world is stupidity. The gaming world is delusional. The gaming world is ignorance. The gaming world is anger.
Yeah.
Rage.
Right.
My brother.
Guess who's feeding all into it in this room? Who, Steven? It ain't me. So think real hard about, I'd rather Discord than journal. Your brother?
My brother is about to turn 18, and he likes to play what's it called, Fortnite, I think it is, on a computer. I think that's what it's called, Fortnite, computer thing. And I have never heard somebody scream and yell and freak out so much it seems like in my life. It was like there was a bear in the room and he was being mauled for like a year straight, like every single day, all day and night. He's doing a lot better now, but
That's all it brings.
yeah,
That you're just yelling out at people while building.
I like playing. Yeah, I like playing. I do like playing games, but I don't play like those types of games. I like playing puzzle games. But
So my point is that, and then you know what I found out about what I reflected on is the bandwidth in one day. Is why I had to take those naps in the car when he's driving me to places. Is because there's so much necessary things that deserves my attention that takes up, we already know this takes up 20% of your energy and calories, thinking alone. And I just don't have any more bandwidth to deal with other things, nonsense, that my brain literally shuts down. It actually overloads. Every time when you see me take a nap, I mean information overload. And that's with extreme, minimal, limited contact with the public. That is trying to cut back as much as possible with the public. So therefore, you have to look at your own bandwidth. Your own bandwidth about phone and laptop and all of that. If you don't, you'll be proving your parents that they're right. And you'll be proving to the rest of the world that they are right. That 20-year-olds now are losers, cannot pay attention, don't know nothing about themselves, cannot keep a job, will never become a leader. But you have to ask yourself if that's what you want to be labeled as. And if you're okay with that, the Buddha have no problem. If you're okay with flipping burgers all day, every day, Buddha's like, if that's working out for you, go ahead, have at it. If you think that you cannot be the next 18-year-old mayor, then you are wrong. That is a challenge to yourself, is that, can you be the next leader? And it starts with all these little baby steps that we're doing here today. And as long as I am supervising you, and I want you to see the ripple effects, is that every time when you do something right, we're able to progress in Buddhism. every time when you make corrective actions in regards to friends, we're able to progress in Buddhism. Because as you part of the trio here, when one does not do what they're supposed to do, we spend all day talking about it. And that takes time away from everybody else in progressing onto the path of arahantship. So stretch your legs. I need to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
One's inside out.
No.
Yeah. This one.
No. Oh. I saw the little button thing and I was like, that's not inside out. Definitely is.
Sparkly socks. Sparkly socks and the fun hat.
Yeah, nice that.
We were actually gonna make those hoodies and put his face on it.
Yeah, I
For
was
you
gonna
guys.
find like a screenshot of like when he was like,
Making a funny face.
like, cause like if you're watching a video
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you just
yeah.
pause it for whatever reason, I'd be like,
Yeah, yeah. That would be funny.
So I thought that was gonna be funny, and then
You guys already
I
have
was sad. It's like, oh.
Yeah, you can still make it. Just put the face down here.
Yeah, right.
And probably don't add this part. Just add that arahunt. That face.
Right.
That would be funny.
We have fun with life. Gotta have fun with life. I want to have fun. What's the point of living?
Yeah, for real.
That's what George at my job says. He's like a 60-year-old man. This is the wisest things ever. It's so funny.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's like, if you're not laughing, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's true.
Say that to people at work all the time. I'm working. I'm having a good conversation with a customer. I'm laughing and stuff. They're laughing. Like, you're really a lot of fun to talk to. Don't keep getting distracted from your job. It's like a good call or whatever. I'm like, I'm not distracted. I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I always say, if you're not having fun in life, what's the point of living?
Like Valentine says, it's play.
Yeah.
Anyways, you're doing great. My job is not to hammer you so much, but we have a short amount of time, and I'm tightening you up for our trip ahead. I'm tightening everybody up because I'm running out of time. I have a particular special team that is trying to wrap something up before I go, and they have to wrap it up before I go. So therefore, there's a lot of invitations already, dozens of invitations already. So I needed any immediate students, any local immediate students. I have to tighten everybody up to be on point with everything. And my job is to also let you enjoy your middle way. You need to have time off, friends, family, leisure, but always caution yourself what's happening in these moments, and not to be too involved in whatever that is. The cultivation of self-esteem, which is covered in CBT. Self-esteem is, do you like who you are? And why do you like who you are? And what have you been doing that give rise to you liking you? And I could tell you all that, growing up, I was very hard on myself. I didn't really like myself, just like the rest of us. We just have self-esteem issues, self-image issues, self-acceptance, self-worth, self-value, self-concept issues. But I looked back and there was one thing that I did right if there was anything that I did right, I mean, of course I did a lot of things right, but just the self-talk of the self-criticalism was that when, growing up, I was like this young philosopher, like this wanting to make sense of life. So every article that I read has to do with the meaning of life, the purpose of life, and why are we here? Like I was just trying to make sense of our world. And every family gathering that I came, I realized, okay, I see your face, you're doing great. How are you doing? Good? Okay, great. And I've always had my stuff with me. And Andy will tell you, and everyone else will tell you, and they sit there and they talk, and I don't talk with them. There's nothing to talk about. I'm doing great too. I'm in school. And I'm sitting there and one could say that's pretty extreme for a young man. But I just felt like I'm not getting the answers that I'm looking for. So I continue searching for 20 years. That's a long time searching. I just went at it. But every time when I read something and took notes on something, I got wiser. And it just satisfies my hunger for knowledge. Then upon looking back, we always look back and we always beat ourselves up, by the way, always, always, for now and forever. And the one thing I convinced myself was that, Chidel, there are pictures of you going to the beach with your friends, bringing your textbook with you. Everyone's in the water and you're the only one that is not in shorts. You're on your belly, flat on the sand, taking notes, and you looked and you smiled for a picture and you went back to studying. You know, if there's anything that is right about you and that you feel good about, it's the work that you do for you and the work that you do on you. Because all of you are running out of time and I'm running out of time with all of you. No money can bring a teacher to supervise you as closely as I have. Most of them just they they teach the way that they do and it's not effective. That's why my teaching is so effective, is because I've been in their hands and I'm like, do you even know I'm here? Do I even exist in this room? You know? So therefore, always bring your stuff with you everywhere. And when you're in places, when you look at people in Japan, when they're in Japan, they're like always on their phone. I don't know what the hell they're doing on their phone. But for us, the group of the wise, the students of the school of intelligence, the student of the school of wisdom and intelligence, is that while everybody else is doing their thing, we need to just we observe, we enjoy, but we also caution ourselves. What's going on here? Why are we wasting time here? Literally, if I have been invited before this year to Busch Gardens. And then when you go to Busch Gardens, you realize there's long wait lines. So I would put stuff on my phone so I can read. And pretend like I'm texting, but I'm actually not. I'm actually absorbing. And then earlier this week, I don't know if you guys watched my live, but me and Steve went to a spiritual store. You went to a spiritual store. And I got these little pocket books. It's the cutest little Buddhist book ever. They're literally this small and it fits exactly in our angsas. One has to ask a Buddhist cardinal who's already made it. He's made it a long time ago. Why is he still reading the basics? So that I can remember and remember and remember. So therefore, do not ever think that you are done with CBT ever in your life. That's why the very last chapter is regrowing, watering the plants, and constantly revisiting that plant and not let it die. Okay. And what I have here for you all is the workbook. So that if things hit the fan, the workbook gives you examples and it gives you checklists. Oh my God. So I didn't have this back then. I didn't know this existed. I don't even know when this thing came out. Okay. But for all of the donations that you all have made, I have decided to pass these along to you all. Stephen, you'll get a copy when we get home because I don't even want to carry 50,000 things. So these are tools. These are tools that even master's degree level LMHCs neglect. And now they call me. And what happened if I charge money? For this type of skill set and quality of teachings and supervision is $600 an hour, folks. Did you know that? I am equivalent to New York psychologists. Did you know that? Did you know that Christina here is a supervisory therapist and she has considered me as equals? Years ago, she told me that. When I was her client, she says, you do realize that I consider you as equal. That was one of the most humblest thing I've ever heard in my life. To be a client, the patient on this side of the chair, and to have a supervisory 30 years experience CEO says that you're one of us. You realize that, right? I don't even have a master's degree. So y'all lucky if I'm not wearing this robes, right? If I join other traditions, I'd be $600 an hour. Did you know that, Stephen? How much gold can you buy with $600 an hour?
A lot.
Check that quarter. I'm sure it's still there. He's eyeballing it. So therefore, it would, again, master's level therapists, they would spend a lot of money to see me over the same stuff that I'm teaching you all, stuff that they have neglected. So therefore, don't be neglectful. The over end goal of Buddhism is self-mastery and self-control and self-restraint. Self-mastery. Every president, every CEO, you see that they have mastered themselves. You see that they're pretty unmoved by things that's going on. Notice the Nixon era, when there's threats of nuclear weapons, they're pretty calm with their phone right there. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Not that they're in the White House, the safest place on earth, because they know how to deal with things effectively, world-class decisions. So therefore, CBT, and then, I would presume to have less than 10 more weeks with all of you. That's the longest prognosis for this class with all of you. So we have to jump into the foundations of mindfulness, of which that is going to be your assignment. The upcoming week is to finish the CBT book, and glance over the 4 foundations of mindfulness. 5 sources for 4 foundations of mindfulness. And I'm going to assume on the notes that you're going to be taking, you're probably going to only get half, because I glanced through it on here on Access to Insight. You're going to only get half because I glanced through it on here on Access to Insight, and it was like, oh my God. It's a lot. It's a lot. We're going to, I'm going to simplify it, but I just want you to get the background on this the most important sutta of the entire teachings of the Buddha is the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, which is the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Mm-hmm. And Stephen tried to fly through that quickly. Now listen, when you were out and about with your family, look at me. When you were out and about with your family and you left that book, every time you leave that book home, I'm just wondering how crazy it actually is with your group of family and Michael and all of them. I'm just wondering, because I'm able to slow things down with my family. I just do my own thing. I don't have to follow along with all the geeky, funny stuff that they're talking about. And like I said, what I'm teaching you is what I did back then. And what I did back then was to always carry it, think about it, live it and breathe it. Living it and breathing it. So just be mindful of what you're doing and who you're doing it with, and whether or not it's contributing to your knowledge base, rather than, just, do you need to take that?
Yeah. Just give me a sec.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't talk.
So the 4 foundations of mindfulness for both of you, there are elements under each one. There's elements under each, mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the mind, feelings, and worldly phenomenons. And the elements underneath them is what's, like, huh? It's not too bad here on access to insight. Not too bad at all, actually. I would say if I were to print this, it would be like 7 pages of reading, 6 to 7 pages of reading. But when you come in next week, I want to hear about the elements of mindfulness of the breath. What is it that the Buddha wants you to know? What is it that he wants you to know about your posture, clear comprehension, um, the material elements, the cemetery, the death meditation, all under just mindfulness of body. I mean, I don't even know how I'm going to finish that chapter in my book with all of those elements in there. It's very easily confusing. So I have to really uh, put it in a way where you guys can apply it. Oh, and by the way, most of the focus was on Stevens because these kids are a little bit harder to program. It just takes a lot of reminding, but he's a very exceptional student. Comes home on time, just doesn't stay out. No drinking, no smoking.
Awesome.
A lot of things that is conducive. So I'm just twitching and tightening up things that I think that'd be good for him.
That's awesome. I titled today's talk, "Art of Giving a Shit."
Yeah.
I try to like put titles on everything, date when we talk, and everything.
Everything good?
Yeah.
Family?
Yeah.
Do they need you?
No.
Filled up the book.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
This much love.
Well, hold on. I just want to commend Stephen for a second. Is that you're doing a lot of things that is good. You know what I'm saying? You're dependable, you're reliable, you know how to prioritize, you come home the right time, right? You know how to save money, you're careful with spending. So, just take into account what you're doing right and that it's recognized. And you should never take these recommendations, additional advice as misconstrued that you are not doing things right. That is why it's being said. What's being said is for the purpose of you improving your effectiveness and efficiency. Effectiveness and efficiency, which is a measurement across all performance out in the field. Out in the field of every industry. When they say, we're going to be evaluating you after your probationary period, which is the 90 days. You're familiar with the 90 days, right? That's what they're looking for. Every manager is going to look for effectiveness and efficiency. So therefore, the School of Intelligence also emphasizes effectiveness and efficiency. When we're playing too much, we need to realize we're playing too much. If we're too lazy, we need to realize we're too lazy, and if we don't know what to do, we ask the teacher. Any questions based on the 4 foundations of mindfulness?
So I just wrote down what you're written down up there.
That's just an example of some. And actually, Steve's handwriting is great, actually, because It's straight actually, because mine's always slanted, and his is actually readable. Yeah, I've told many students that they have to fix their handwriting nice and neat. If it's messy, then their life is messy. If your handwriting is messy, your life is messy. If yeah, just a lot of things can be improved. Handwriting analysis is one of them because it talks about your life. Your handwriting gives insight about your life. Your posture gives insight about your life. It's no wonder why the Buddha says be mindful of posture. He didn't really care about writing, but be mindful about everything else. You know, pretty much when you go through the four foundations of mindfulness, you see that the Buddha wanted you to be mindful about everything that is unfolding in your life. So basically, I think you guys are going to do great on this assignment because of how much attention that you guys have been paying. Or you have to put this kind of underneath the microscope. Um, Again, it's the most potent sutta. Any questions so far?
I don't know. So number one add those, and number two.
Number two is not that. These are just elements of under number one. Like mindfulness of the breath talks about this samadhi meditation, which I've been teaching you all how to do. Okay, counting, connecting, mindfulness of the breath. Uh, let's talk about success. Let's talk about leadership success and why the application of mindfulness onto the working world and I'm not trying to pick on former police chief Mary O'Connor, but if you all haven't watched the video, as this directly relates to Buddhism, mindfulness, leadership, and success, the police chief makes a lot of money. Everyone knows that. It's a very prestigious elected position, either appointed or elected. She was pulled over with her husband that was just 100 yards away from their gated community on a golf cart with no tag. And Alice County Sheriff's Office pulled them over. And the husband's driving, not even her. She decided to be the lawyer sitting there. And, hi, I'm the police chief of Tampa. Pulls her credentials out. I'm hoping you would let us go. But before all of this, she asked the deputy, is your camera on? He said, yes. So again, the first thing she asked was, before showing her badge, she says, is your camera on? And did we watch this video last time?
Mm-mm.
No? Let's give it some context for a second. That's great. They got it. It's made to take a beating. Don't worry. I'll figure it out. It's all jacked up. All the eyeballs are like, ah. Everyone's watching this. They're like, what's happening over there?
the sheriff's office stopped you because you driving tag or unregistered vehicle with no tag on it on the roadway.
Yeah, we went to the club. It was closed, so we went over and picked up some.
Is your camera on?
It is.
I'm the police chief in Tampa.
Oh, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
I'm hoping that you'll just let us go tonight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll say, now that you say you look familiar, so.
Yeah, I'm sure I do.
Okay. So, all right, folks. Well, have a good night. Staying over here in East Lake Woodlands?
Yeah,
You live in East Lake Woodlands.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, it's nice to meet you. So, I'm Deputy Jacoby.
Okay.
Same here, my friend.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
All right, take
Sorry
care.
to bother you.
All right, no worries. No worries. Like I say, we have a lot of problem with the golf carting around here. You know, everybody
You know,
comes
we
out.
don't normally come out.
We
but
never
the club
come
was
out. We
closed, so we
never,
decided that's
ever.
the great place to get some food.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. All right, then we'll take care. And it was nice meeting you.
All right.
Oh, all right.
You ever need anything, call me.
Okay.
Serious.
All right. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. So
Thank you for your service.
thank you for yours.
Thank you.
So take care.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
What do you guys think of that?
I think that she's not any exception to the rules that we all should follow.
Right.
I think that the police officer didn't do his job thoroughly by verifying who she genuinely was. He didn't take her ID, he didn't take her badge, he didn't do any of that. She just said something. He seemed to have gotten scared and then just said, "Oh, okay, well, okay, we have a good day. Sorry about that." It's like, what if I said that? I'd like to say, not. It probably don't look like it, but I'm just saying, like, you could say something, but there is no verification of identification.
All right. So I wanted to take this as a learning opportunity for all of you because people like Steven sitting there and he's like, how is walking with G-Dao, CBT and mindfulness has anything to do with my success and financial liberation? Yes? Ever ask that? Ever sit in your bed and ask why walking with me will help you towards financial liberation? Okay. Well, let's look at Mary O'Connor. Do you think she's financially liberated after losing her job? She resigned. That's gonna suck. And again, today is not about bashing about Mary O'Connor. I have very high respect for her as a woman, and this is the month of me empowering women in leadership. You all know that. But I just want to take this. We just need to take her name out of it and just take it as a police chief of a department and what was said and done, and how it directly relates to mindfulness. Because everything we're doing here is mindfulness. So I'll give it to my dad, and my dad is a law professor. And my dad giggled. My dad's like, "You didn't do anything wrong." And I'm like, "You're too old to be a professor anymore. You should just step down." My dad's standpoint was, she asked whether the officer gave it to her or not. It's the officer's discretion, just like a judge. I mean, you can ask the judge anything. Whether he gives it to you or not is up to him. And I was like, me and my dad have a lot of speech and debate. And that's what's fun about having a dad who is a professor, is because and a lawyer. So I'm also a lawyer in my own head. So we just have at it with some of these things. So I would postulate, just for fun, I don't know the full details and facts, so I'm just gonna guess that she was a little bit intoxicated. Because I can't, again, former chief myself, I can't fathom. And as a former chief myself, I was the one who implemented body cams myself before actual body cams even came out. 10, 12 years ago, we used GoPro cameras, So later in my life, I'll show you pictures of it. It's like in a waterproof case on our chest. It's like we were like scuba divers with guns, So I implemented policies, so I'm very well at policies and mindfulness of it. And GoPros were back in the day, GoPros were like beep, and it took a minute for it to fire up before another boop for it to record. So I had to train everyone with like, don't take any action until that darn thing is rolling, because it takes forever for it to roll. Okay, so don't be a hero and if you don't have to, don't be a hero. And mind you, it was a GoPro Hero like 7 or 6 or whatever it was at the time. I can't fathom the fact that she asked if the camera was on, he said yes, and she proceeded on forward in talking. And mind you, as a former chief, I also profile other chiefs that gets pulled over. Anyone who in leadership, I profile just to study them, just to study cases like this, and why American is just going downhill, and how leadership is going downhill, Stephen, and how you all are next leaders of America, and how you're going to be either uphill or downhill the rest of them. And so then she's like, I'm the police chief. Okay, now you announced who you are. She asserted that that was a officer safety. Oh, okay. I mean, if I'm, you guys are pretty seasoned, aka old. I don't think you're gonna pull out an AK on a golf cart and shoot me. But all right, okay. Well, you're the police chief. I feel safer. Then I'm hoping you would let us go. So that statement is not necessarily damning. That statement is a valid statement. That is a statement any citizen would make. Yeah. But so then he lets her go, and in the business card thing, that's touches politics. So there's the mind was lapsing, failure to capture what it could look like in the eyes of the jury, failure to capture, to anticipate the perception of the public. You've already announced that you're for, 2-star, and now you asked to you announced who you are. You asked to let go. You gave a business card. If you need anything, call me. You put all those 4 things together. You have abused your position of authority and power. And they concluded that. And so our sheriff here said she should have just kept her mouth shut. And Deputy Jacoby did nothing wrong, because he would have let anybody else go. Just because she's the police chief doesn't mean she got special treatment. He cited 2018, 19, and 20, there was 60,000, 70,000, and 80,000 traffic stops. Less than 20%, which is about 17,000, only get tickets. The rest of them they let go. Right. Education. They want to educate people and let them go. When each and every single one of you go out in the field and you work, you don't have to be a cop, whatever you are, dealing with the public, dealing with people. You're going to be dealing with people, unless you work on Amazon and stare at boxes all day. Great. Just be mindful of the boxes and the labels. Okay. Especially my boxes. Do not lose my boxes. I will throw a lightning bolt at you. Jimmy was like, are you saying this on camera? Because the camera's rolling, The camera's rolling, and the Buddha's probably watching on CNN up there. Venerable. So when I solidify all of you to be leaders of tomorrow, some mistakes, yeah, it is a mistake, and some mistakes is a mistake of a lifetime, and she just made a mistake of a darn lifetime. Now they plaster her face all over the news, and everywhere she goes, everyone's going to know Mary O'Connor, and she's the new Karen of Marys, the new Marys of Karens, right? I mean, just the way how the internet's going to portray this thing. Z-Pack need to get in there and do its job. Other police chiefs, this would have been a $160 ticket, and less than 258, moving violation 4 points. If I'm the police chief that's making $90,000 to $100,000 a year, I would just shut up, and I would just play dumb. Again, why do we pay respect to the Buddha or to the monk or to the robes, right? Because we don't know jack anymore. We let go of our ego. And some of these very humble chiefs out there, some flew out of the car. Do you know who I am? And who are you asking me? And usually this car I'm driving is a government car. Well, every government car is unmarked, doesn't register back to anybody. It's actually a blank tag. So other cops also freak out. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Like they're supposed to train to know, but then they punch in, and then lack of mindfulness on their own training that this is a government car with a government tag. and it comes back to nothing. So they freak out and they, you know, and then the chief and supervisory people in the car couldn't tell you how many times they're like, the ego, the proliferation of the ego. So part of this practice is always taming the ego, to be human no matter what position that we are in. To always be human no matter what position we are in. You know, oh, I love it. You guys watching this, they're all taking notes. They're all taking out notes right now. 3 of them. So Jesus says that the washing of feet into serving other people. So Jesus has washed other people's feet during his time. So in an act of compassion and service to the people, Cardinal Donald World also took off his red robes. In his white robes, he kneels down and washes the feet of like 12 people at the Cathedral of Immaculate Conception. I'm butchering the name. In DC. It's a very humble, and so has the Pope. The Pope has kneeled down and washed people's feet because it was said in the scriptures to do so. Now just reflect on that, how humbling that is. How humbling that is for a Pope and a cardinal, the prince of the church, to kneel down and wash another's feet. Who does he think he is then? He's just a son of God. That's all you are. You're serving God's people. If you ever hear the Catholic world, the ordination process is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Our ordination, you don't understand what's happening. It's a bunch of more chanting, and then the robes, and the white people are like, "What? What do y'all actually do? Y'all just go in the forest and meditate? Okay, all right. Are we done here? Goodbye." Right? But the Catholic world, there's a lot of things right about the Catholic world. It tells you what is unfolding, why is unfolding, who are these men, and why are they serving the people of God? In observance for Christmas, I wanted to bring this up. So, anyways, police chief, a chief is a cop. You're a cop, damn it, with 4 stars, okay? But you're still a cop. What kind of cop are you? What have you become? That's one of our reflections for a month. What have you become? At least see my hands. What have you become? What have you become? What have I become? One of our so potent reflections for monks was, what have we become at the end of the day? So write down, what have I become? Have you become the best Discord server user ever? Best junkie? The best mom, the best dad? What have you become? And so again, you're a public servant as a cop. Notice every position of public trust is public service. You're serving the people. A police officer is a peace officer. So they've forgotten about that. She carries her badge in her wallet, readily accessible. Do you look at your badge, madam? Did you forget the meaning of what that badge meant? How humble you should be? Or something like me. Who exactly do I think I am? What does this mean to me? What does this mean to other people? And it's sad when people don't practice mindfulness. And I hope that Mayor O'Connor is watching this, and I hope all police chiefs and sheriffs is watching this, so that they can implement mindfulness for policing. Number one for them darn selves, for themselves, the Association of Chiefs and Sheriffs, and then on to the other guys. And when you are more mindful of everything that's unfolding, just slow it down. She got too excited. She got too excited because she has no self-mastery. How do I know this? Because when she was 20 years old, she hit a cop while she was a cop. At 20 years old, she was a police officer. another traffic stop. She got out, and acted a fool, and hit this cop's chest, battery on a law enforcement officer, got fired, got reinstated. They brought this up in her swearing in of police chief, and it was very controversial. That this lawyer in Tampa was like, no, we don't think that the person in position of leadership having this background is a no. So Mary Jane Castor, I think it's Mary Jane Castor, I know it's Jane Castor, but the current mayor was also former police chief, vouched for Mary O'Connor to be the next police chief. So she was given a second chance, literally, like dodged another bullet, you know. The conversation I want to have with Mary O'Connor is, Madam, you had this thing back when you were 20. Now you're probably 50. Somewhere in between, did you ever practice mindfulness? Did it ever occur to you? Somewhere down the line, did you ever start taking a look at your ego? Somewhere down the line, I just want to cross-examine her just for fun. Well, not for fun, but for like, just to know, to have some insight. You know what I mean? Because had she practiced Buddhism, I don't think that would have happened the way that it unfolded. One who practices Buddhism and CBT, mindful of what's unfolding, what is about to unfold, what is happening at all in any given moment. Now, Stephen, not only that I have to be mindful of myself, my speech, body, action, but also mindfulness of you. It's part of babysitting. You notice that?
Yeah.
Have I skipped a beat? Have I missed a beat? So not only have I mindful of me, but mindful of other students. That's how skillful I am. But what happens when you have kids and people working underneath you? You have to be mindful of yourself and mindful of the people, your subordinates. Also, that's what a good leader is to catch their mistake before things happen and know what to do. Now, do you see how this relates to leadership and success in your life? And it's one thing I know that Stephen is pondering as, you know, when I stepped into his life and I said, things are not going well. Step forward, step into the light, walk with the monks, walk with the Buddha. He's doing that. And I know he has doubts. Do you not have doubts? What are those doubts that you've had since you've gone off on your own?
It's like, will it really work, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Which is evidence that it will, but still doubt.
Right. You gotta prove it for yourself, right?
You have to learn all of these skills that I'm teaching all of you. The mastering yourself, public speaking, posture, wearing the right clothes. You are a package. You're selling yourself to the world. They're going to measure you. The people who you're encountering, the people who's going to be paying you, they have a specific software that they're scanning you for. They're scanning your resume. They're scanning your body, your everything, your eye contact. Notice if I didn't correct your eye contact, if you do it to me, you do it to everybody else. True or false?
True.
Right. So what were you thinking when your eyes were all over the place?
Nothing, I was just wandering
Right. Wondering where?
around the room.
Well, ain't no forest here. It obviously ain't Disney World. Where are you wondering?
And here,
Right. So if I'm catching it, other people will catch it. And if you apply for 10 jobs and didn't get 10 jobs, guess whose fault it was? Why do you think it's your fault? Because you're so poor you couldn't even pay attention.
Oh man,
True or false?
that's a funny joke.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, how much money do you have in the bank right now? How do you not know? You're in accounting.
oh, I know,
Tell me.
2,800.
Right. But yet can still be the poorest person on earth because you could not pay attention.
That's right.
Right? Right. And I don't have much, clearly. I have enough for a doctor's visit. But I'm so rich in paying attention, right? So look at the podcast. Because they're like, wow, He has mastered mindfulness. In order for you all to test these things out, you all must practice, study, practice, rehearse. Study, practice, rehearse. The rehearse is the delivery part, folks. The rehearse is you've read CBT, you have practiced it. If you practiced it right, you will have no problem teaching the darn thing. Did you know that if I printed out a certificate saying that you graduated from the School of Jidao, and that I certify you in cognitive behavioral therapy and Buddhism, and you opened up your own class to teach CBT and everything that I have taught you, that it was recorded, by the way. All you have to do is open the class and just hit play and be like, sit there, listen. I'm the teacher, you're the student. Don't ask any questions. You want to be like us? You want to be like Jidao? Listen. That's all you have to do, actually. You're going to see income. True or false? So you want to be successful, you have to study, you have to practice, and you have to rehearse. If there's flaws in between the delivery process, you have to, try to paint the picture for someone to understand.
Yep.
Yes, you understand? You can't just study this thing, read this thing, and then realize I'm gonna go out now. I think I'll make $1 million now. Ain't gonna happen. Now, wherever you're at in life, you need to realize we've been playing a little too hard and a little too long. And that's why we are here to recalibrate all of the teachings. And now we realize, all right, the things that I was doing before was not working. So I'm here to do something new. And hopefully this new thing that I'm learning is going to propel me forward. Even if you don't succeed after my program, you would be making less mistakes than other humans because you are more mindful.
It's true.
That's the least you get out of it, is that if you don't get better, well, you obviously ain't going to get worse. And if things get worse, you know how to deal with your emotions when things hit the fan. Let's say you graduate and then house burns down or you lose your job and stuff like that. If you lost everything and became homeless, you would still be at peace underneath a damn bridge. You would sit there, you would just meditate, and you realize, oh, well, the Buddha was homeless too. And that's what monks are, homeless beggars. So I might as well grab myself a little bowl. And as long as I have enough to eat, which you will, because there's plenty of homeless shelters and churches that give food, and you will live just like us, and you become more richer spiritually. Yeah, you're not going to get the Mercedes that you want by this age or whatever, but you see where you cannot lose. And even if you had to go through suffering, you would become a teacher of suffering. That's what I am. The teacher of teachers. So that's what I teach. So you need not, again, you can have $50,000 in the bank right now at the time of this talk. And if your eyes wander like that, forget it. No one's going to take you seriously. And it starts with posture. It starts with eye contact. It starts with everything slow. Everything slow. So that we are aware of what, and when our eyes start to wander, when you start to wander, you have to catch it. I'm not going to be there to catch it. You have to catch it. When you slump down like this, you have to catch where you're slumping. When you brush your teeth, have you ever caught yourself wrong motion or you missed the spot of one of the quadrants? You caught it, right?
Yep.
Well, how?
Paying attention to what you're doing.
Right. When you're brushing your teeth, what do you guys think about? Tell me.
Just making sure that I get every spot clean,
Why?
so my teeth could look nice.
Yeah, so you can kiss more girls. Got it. What about you guys? Okay.
I pay attention to my posture actually, because I notice that I stand on one foot sometimes. Like I'll put more pressure on my right foot, so I make myself straight, and I start brushing, and I'm looking at myself. Yeah.
So I used to like make funny faces when I was brushing my teeth. Well, I think everybody does. So that was my biggest thing. But since I had this tooth pulled, I've literally been paying attention to where the toothbrush has been in my mouth.
Mm. Did you know that tooth is one of our meditations? Meditation on your tooth. Did you know that? Yeah, 32parts.com. Go to 32parts.com and I'll do it right now. I will share it with you right now.
I'm gonna write it up in here.
Sure. As a matter of fact, it falls under the mindfulness of the body when you get to the material, when you get to, I don't know why it's not on there, but when you get to the part where about the body parts, the 9 cemetery, I don't know it's on there. God, so many elements.
Do you need more water? I can grab something.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Furthermore, there is the actual CBT journal.
Oh.
So this is a CBT overdose, right? If you go through all 3 of these, the book, the workbook, and the journal, and you still don't get it, we have a problem.
Write down again about the one you love.
Very reflective.
Catching your cognitions, practicing your ABCs. 6.
Before we talk about mindfulness of teeth, remind me if my mind jumps. You all realize the world is taking a shit, right?
Oh yeah.
Very quickly, right? And you all realize that teachers who can help people transcend their suffering, they will seek you out. Qualified, good, authentic teachers, they will be seeking you out because of what's happening, the rate of hate and all this other stuff that you can fill in the blank all day, every day. They will be looking for you, they'll be looking for you, they'll be looking for you for guidance because they're going to be so lost. You hold the map to life. You hold the map to the road less traveled. You all understand that, right? That's what I'm teaching you all, to not just to go there yourself, but to also know how to lead. So think about that, about how all of this we're doing here will benefit me and other people. Me and other people. So yeah, so teeth is right here. When you go to 32parts.com, this is what you get. You get 32 parts over here, over here, over here. And yeah, it talks about the construction of teeth, description, function, color, shape, direction, location, delimitation of your teeth. And happiness is not having a toothache. True or false? And mindful of just brushing the teeth, the quadrants where the bristles need to get in there so you don't have plaque, you don't have stuff. Why do we meditate on teeth? So that we don't also attach to it. To understand its function and service and detachment. Its function is that you can They're your Turk cutters. Shut your Turk cutters. You ever hear those people?
Oh, that's a southern thing.
Chop it up. Chop it up. Its function, and once its service is done, it will leave you. Now, the Buddhist nun that you transported, she said, I got an extraction, and she sat there and she told me, she says, I am so grateful for the one tooth that served me for so long, Venerable. Oh, I'm going to miss that tooth, but it served me for so well. I wish it all the best when it goes. But she was like really passionate and like really in the moment with this one tooth. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, you're really grateful. I got it. But on the side note, I was like, weird. It's like, who says that about a tooth, right? What the gay hell? But it just shows how grateful she was for the service that it served her. Because if you think about calcium deposit and lack of calcium deficiencies, it can literally be brittle and you can just lose all of your teeth and just drop like porcelain. Do you know that? Don't catch STDs. Don't catch any disease. So anyways, I lost my train of thought where I was going with the mindfulness of the teeth. What were we talking about before that?
Mindfulness of the body.
And then before that, what did I say?
Non-cemetery and material element.
And then before that, what did I say? And you all failed the test.
You're talking about the police officer.
Yeah. Do you see how I test you all in your memory? Do you see that? And you're like, oh shit. That's what you were saying in your head. Oh shit. And the more he goes back, the more, oh shit.
Before the police officer, or after the police officer,
I'm just testing y'all.
No, but seriously, though, you were talking about.
I know exactly what I said. I know exactly what I said.
Because I keep doing it. But catch my posture.
I don't know. It looked like he's preparing a torch later at Ebor tonight. He's torching to me. I don't know what's going on here, but I keep on doing this. You know, YouTube's gonna be like, "Oh, right. Oh, okay, time to find another channel." Maybe he drank a little too much when he came to class. Too much partying on your Saturday, Venerable? Today's Sunday. You know, today's Sunday. It'd be funny if I was a nun and actually had boobs, and people would be like, oh, all right. All right, so review all the monastic jokes, I swear. So one day they're gonna invite me to like 500 monastics sitting in a room, and they're all gonna crack up. I was like, that's all we're gonna do. We're not gonna learn nothing. We're just gonna crack up. They need it. So finish CBT, Stephen. Catch up on CBT. Oh damn. Huh? 11:33. How would you rate your performance this week in studying and everything, all of our operations?
Say way better than the first week. So first week myself, like 5.5 out of 10, and this week I'd say it went 3 points up, so like 8 out of 10.
Oh.
Self-evaluation. What I'm doing here with you and is biofeedback. When I ask you all how your week is doing, when I ask you questions, it's biofeedback. And how you evaluate yourself is going to be one of the most important things too. And specifically for you to be honest about what is unfolding in your life and how we're going to solve the problem. And don't Don't go silent. That's where things don't ever get. What if I didn't ask you the question that I did? You see how it would have went silent? It would have been sitting in your shelf, and then you wonder why you get tired of waking up after your full night's sleep because it sits in the shelf back there. You can't believe they're trying you, continuously trying you, and you don't know how to set boundaries. Had I not told you to hang up the phone, how long was that conversation going to last?
About another 10 minutes.
That's a little too long.
That is very long because it was already 10 minutes.
It's feeding cancer. It's activating inflammation in the cells. It's contributing to neural inflammation, literally killing billions of brain cells. You understand? So when we don't get anywhere, we got to go. And I've already told you in details how to redirect the conversation. This is some people direct it towards you when it should not have been towards you. It should have been directed somewhere else. You redirect. And when people don't know what they're talking about to you, let's say they bring astrophysics, or they talk about biology, or they talk about parenting. Well, and you know that they don't know what they're talking about. You need to ask them, I apologize, but did you go to school for parenting? Did you graduate school of parenting? Or are you board certified? 3 things I always ask to help people realize they don't know what they're talking about. You know? So never doubt progress that we're making here. Solidify and reinforce everything that we are doing and how beneficial and how you can apply this to your life always, and how you can be the next teacher. There is the great review when all of this is said and done, and prepare for the great review, right? That is your time to shine. You will be on this board, and prepare for cross-examination. It's a 10th grade level book, with the 3rd edition probably being more like 12th grade and junior level college, but not even. It's 12th grade. This version is 10th grade. I have adjudicated as 10th grade, and the 3rd edition is senior, because if they made it more difficult, not everyone has a college degree to read college level text. So there's no reason why each and every single one of you cannot stand here and reteach CBT. And it tightens everybody up necessarily because it holds you responsible. You have something to look forward to. You're like, oh, I get to be the teacher. You know, prepare for questioning so that, you know, mind you, I'm 35, and every time I'm live and stuff like that, they can ask any questions in the 84,000 teachings, and I have to be prepared. If I don't know the answer, I need to know how to look it up. You know, so same thing with you all. And Stephen, take notes and mark the book and use the sticky notes and all of that. Look at the note-taking process. And the last thing about posture of the body, when we are lazy with one thing, it creates laziness in other things in life. About grabbing the bags and just not taking things with us, pens. You know what I mean? Did you know why this backpack is here? And the backpack is thicker than the last one. Remember the JanSport? Yeah. It was thin. And this is thicker. Look at the handle. Why? Because every day there's more crap that comes in here.
It's getting heavier and heavier.
Right. So what makes you all think you all can exempt if I don't exempt myself? You walked out of the house without a pen today. What if I didn't have a pen? You would have sat there and what? Pray to Buddha? Take mental notes?
The car.
Inside the car. Responsibility.
Yeah.
Mindfulness of pen.
Yeah.
Maybe I should add that to Buddhism. The whole dissertation on mindfulness of pen. Literally, this thing's like 15 pounds. Like literally, like I don't even have to go to the gym. You know? So again, somewhere down the line, grab the CBT journal, whatever. Once you've mastered it, you don't have to get this. I just want to make sure you guys are mastery on it, just so that we can review, so we can go into this. Finish that so we can go into this, the most potent right here. This has to be taught the right way so that it's done the right way. There's a lot of romanticism about the word mindfulness, and that people teach it wrong. People don't know how to do it. People half-ass it. So the delivery of it and the effectiveness, not really all there. You know, it's not done right. It's just like many things in public school, not done right. There's the right way of doing it, and then there's their way. Their way just so happens to be wrong, right? So reflect that in your life. There's the right way of doing things, and then there's my way. And sometimes your way just so happens to be wrong, inaccurate, insufficient. You know, be honest about your way.
You know, he asked us to look into the threefold training last week, and what you just said was, I just read something like that. Here it is. Mostly we either stick to our own ideas or go along with popular opinion, so that what we see is not the truth at all. Under insight, I think that's interesting.
Everything I teach falls under the threefold training. Though it is not in order, it all has to do with the 84,000 teachings and the threefold training. We were trained to do that. We were trained very skillfully that everything we say has to fall under that umbrella. It cannot deviate, whether we're talking about mindfulness of the tooth, pooping, eating, sleeping, sex, whatever. It has to fall underneath that umbrella, because that is human function, that is human operation every single day. Studying, retaining, teaching yourself, self-mastery, everything falls under that one thing, mindfulness. So, you know, you guys are getting all of the platinum and all of the diamonds and gold that I have in my body out, so that you are just showering you all with diamonds. How much you receive of that depends on how much you listen, how deeply you listen. Your ears should not be like this thing that you're seeing here. Your ears should be like nets trying to catch these diamonds. You realize that when I was in college, $1,300 a class for 8 weeks, my ears was nets. I mean, like cast nets, like fishing nets. Like I'm talking about nets wider than this room when my teacher is talking, because I realized that if I miss something, I can't use it later in the clinical fields. So I'd be the shittiest psychologist the world has ever seen. I couldn't tell you how many crappy therapists that I've seen. I'm like, how'd you get your license again? You know what I mean? So, all right. It's 12 o'clock. It's 11:43. So let's wrap it up. I'm losing breath. I got to eat lunch, and I have to do more work with Stephen, because to make up for the past 2 days of running around and not so much studying, and I have to return back to the half of my book. Any final questions? Everyone understands the direction and instructions so far? Okay. We didn't get to do meditation today, is because there were pending issues that needs to be resolved. You won't get much out of this if you don't meditate at home, and we won't get much out of it if we don't meditate here. Therefore, every time when you come to class in the week, try to make the best decision possible. Make the best decision possible, so that it clears the way for us to do other things conducive to our practice.
Yeah.
To get the most out of this, we must practice together. We can't just sit here and talk. My mouth is moving. That means people are not making the right choices in 1 week. People are not making the ideal choice in 1 week. People are not making the choices that the Buddha would want you to make in that 1 week. So therefore, each and every single one of you have to create the causes and conditions for that everyone can sit here and meditate. That is the reward when everyone do their part. And thank God there's only a few in this classroom. Imagine 10. How many do you think catches up with CBT? Right? How many, you know what I mean? How many will keep not I gotta babysit how many in this room? My God. I've aged 50 years just babysitting him. One kid. Thank God. Come here. Come here. Sit closer. Close enough for me to strangle you. Close enough for me to start premeditative first-degree murder right now. If you were not a good kid, you realize that but he is an exceptional kid. If I wanted a 20-year-old, too close to the Buddha, scoot over, or I'll really choke you. I couldn't ask for a better 20-year-old. And mind you, I've seen so many disappointments in my life with students that ask me directly in front of me, in my presence, where can I get a gun? Things that I have heard in front of me, the disappointment and sadness that I feel, just and then just this is a unprecedented, never seen before type change for a 20-year-old of Gen Zoomer to come home on time. You know what I mean? And within your generation also to come forth. All the ones that I went to high school with, they're all losers. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but they're not here. And they're not at other monasteries. And they're not practicing mindfulness. And they're still taking selfies of their butt. They're still doing the same old crap. You know what I mean? And they're out looking for what's the next club to go to? How much is the cover? Let me bring Patron. Let me bring Patron. Yeah, that's the new slang for Patron, Patron, right? And when it finally hits the fan, they will all come searching for us. They will leave this country and they will all come looking for us. I don't know where you guys gonna be, but they'll be coming looking for y'all because of the amount of despair. The last thing I failed to mention was Stephen Twitch boss, right? You see, when you don't bring the mind under control, the viciousness of the mind, the accumulated despair, you will take your life. Hey, Stephen, suicide is like cancer. It eats inside of you slowly. Suicide is like, it's like that. It's not just a choice of, oh, I'm going to leave my 3 kids and see ya, go to nirvana. It eats up someone slowly, the accumulated despair. So in my previous talks for the longest time, every time, I've always said accumulated despair. And people never pay attention to the word accumulation. The time they pay attention to that is when it talks about their bank account. But we can see clearly in the whole high profile cases that you see lack of studying mindfulness leads to accumulated despair. And what you're doing is the antidote to that. I'm giving you the armor that you need. When you step out into the world, there's going to be bows and arrows at you. Bows and arrows constantly at you. The dhamma protects you. Cognitive behavior protects you. Layers when the bows and arrows come. And you're able to observe the bows and arrows without judgment, without beating yourself up and without beating other people up. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that I wish Stephen Boss had, because he left a beautiful wife and 3 kids behind. But it raises awareness. It's over now. It raises awareness for the rest of us to now cultivate what we need to cultivate. To be Buddhist, to be Buddhist practitioners, and to be bulletproof to some of these things in life that will come at you. And you already know what's going to come at you, right? Birth, old age, decay, disease, death, praise, blame, pain, pleasure, gain, loss, the 8 winds. So, Stephen, money will come and go, right? You're not going to be able to hang on to that 2,800 forever.
You're right.
It will go, just like everything else. What matters is what kind of skills we have to continue going and continue generating more good deeds, generating more money, generating whatever. You are the source. You are always the source of success. You are always the source of happiness. So never forget that as you leave today. Okay, go back over there. I needed you here just for that exceptional teaching. Yatha Varivaha Pura Paripurenti Sakara Evo Mewa Ito Dinan Petanang Upakapati Ichitang Patitang Tamhang Kipameva Samechatu Sape Purentu Sankapa Chando Panjaraso Yatha Manicho Atiraso Yatha Sapi Tiwa Viwanja Dasa Paroa Goa Vina Satuma Tia Fawan Tuan Darayo Suki Dihai Yuko Bawa Abiwan Danasi Lesani Changuta Bajani No Jata Rua Thamma Vatandi Ayuano So Kang Halang Bhavatusa Pamangalang Rakantusa Padewatasa Babuta Nuva Vena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatusa Pamangalang Rakantusa Padewatasa Pasangka Nuva Vena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te. May you all reflect on the teachings today as we move closer to advanced level teachings, advanced studies, advanced meditations. Everything has been taught to you that you are to remember for the rest and remaining balance of your life. As everything has been taught to you, it is the most potent teachings and utility and tools in your belt. Tools that you will be needing to utilize day-to-day basis, the strengthening of the mind, the cultivation of the mind. It is no different than any muscle in your body. That if you wanted bicep, triceps, six-pack, you would hit the gym. You would do what needs to be done for the results that you want. For everything that we have studied must be put into practice on a daily basis, whether it is journaling, it is reflecting, it is talking, it is teaching, it is writing, that you strengthen the muscles of CBT, strengthening all of the neural synapses, all of the neuron protons, electrons, so that this becomes automatic. So everything here needs to run into your bloodstream. If you forget any potent teachings, you are to go back to this talk, you are to reflect on it and listen over and over and over again. You are to delay any entertainment for the sake of your own enlightenment. You are to delay entertainment until you study what needs to be studied, know what needs to be known, and practice what needs to be practiced. If you fail to heed the advice of the wise, you will be just like the rest of the population in suffering slowly, painfully, and never be liberated. Therefore, this is the crucial time of your life to return back to the self and always remind yourself it is education over entertainment. education over entertainment. As you all leave this room today, I have no doubt you all will succeed. Be ardent in your practice. Be mindful of your practice. Be mindful of your studies. The world awaits for teachers like you. The world awaits for people who can open their eyes. The rest of the population's eyes is dusty, sandy, muddy, cannot see past their problems, cannot see past their hands. You are the light, you are the windshield. Your job is to help them clean the lens to see through the true nature of reality, penetrating insight into the true nature of reality of this world. You are charged with this task. You are charged with this task in the school of intelligence, the school of supreme intelligence, of wise discernment, of wise discretion. You go forth realizing that you are now the wise and not a fool. You cannot be drunk to see other people drunk. My supreme blessing for all of you here, my endless hope, the magnitude of my hope for you all to graduate in a timely manner. The magnitude of my hope for you to serve humanity as the next generation of students, the next generation of millennials, the next generation of Zoomers, to effect change in the world. May you all go in peace. May you all be well. May you all be happy. May you all be free from the torments of your mind. May you be free from mental suffering, be free from physical suffering. May you realize the light, nature, ability, and intelligence within yourself. May you be the source that we all need in humanity, a source of healing for other people yet to come, yet to serve. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Before y'all leave for a second. By the way, this is how you raise a child, and this is how you remind the child, and this is how you remind them. Earlier in this talk, he spoke about giving more and taking less. It is central to this school and central to this practice always. And so, Steve, everything has been provided for you free of charge ever since then. I want you to reflect and condition yourself to contribute in some way, shape, or form. Not to me, but to the practice. What does it mean to contribute to your own practice and to the Dhamma, to the Triple Gem? The image here is Triple Gem. And every time when I put my envelope into a monastery, donating my time, effort, energy, and money, I say to myself that I'm investing in myself. When I invest in the Triple Gem, I invest in myself, like these folks have done. These folks have generously donated within their capacities as hardworking young students, right? In the midst of your bills. The money means to me, the funding means to me that you all take your education very seriously. The commitment and dedication very seriously. See that? Never late to class. I don't think there was a time where you guys were late. And you see their journals. You see everything here speaks volumes of how they take their education very seriously. You are young and you are 20. You're in the midst of finding a good mate to hang out with, and in the midst of finding a good mate to hang out with and chill, which is consistent with someone who's 20, right? We can't ask you to be a 20-year-old monk. That would suck. No baddies in the monastery, by the way. Life will pull you away from me. Life will pull you away from the Buddha. Life will pull you away from you. It is important that you condition yourself to know where you stand in life and what means matter most to you. If you pay SPC out of pocket, SPC will never teach stuff like this for multiple lifetimes to come. And see how much they charge? I don't charge any money. I will never charge any money. I will never make a student pay. I will never make a student having to feel like they're obligated. However, and somewhere down the line when you have nothing to give part of your meal, literally a part of your bread, into the alms, give a note of thanks, give a note of gratitude into the box, the bowl or the box. It is the intention behind it is what's most important. I can care less about $1 million check in it. I don't. But it is the intention behind it, is that I take my suffering seriously. I take what I'm doing here for me seriously. This is what I invest in. And Hector, one of the students, before he departed from my one-on-one session, he donated $300. But it was what he said behind it that was the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. And will always bring a tear to my eyes when I reflect. He says, I'm donating you 350, I think it was 350, so that other people can have the same opportunity that I have. So now when I say, particularly for this young man, that the girls you're going to meet does not contribute to your karma.